Caroline Robertson, thanks for joining us on Behind the Noise.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
How are you today?
You know, I'm a little hungover. But I'm all right. I'm alive and I'm here and I've got some black coffee. And what a better way to spend a Sunday. A lovely Sunday, sunny Sunday.
It's a lovely day. So this is kind of like almost like a busman's holiday for you.
Yeah.
Kind of. Sat in front of a microphone.
A little bit.
Talking.
A little bit. But I like that. You know,
you like talking.
I like talking, and I've managed to find a way to get paid to talk, which is bonkers.
So you present the afternoon show on BBC Radio Cumbria.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
That is me. I've been doing the afternoon show just over 3 years now. So it's weekdays 2 till 5, and before that I did the very early morning shift.
Of course, that's the usual way to start, isn't it?
It is. It's like the graveyard shift.
Either that or the graveyard shift when no one's listening.
About 5 a.m.
Oh, God.
I was on air, so I had to get up about 3.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so there's me and a couple of night nurses and lorry drivers, and that was it.
You're just doing it on your own again?
But yeah, it was just me doing that in the morning.
God.
Interesting phone calls, a few
Was that 3 hours as well?
No, that was an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yes, which wasn't too bad, but brutal getting up at that time. It's not good for your health.
Did you get many people ringing in at that time?
Yeah, like heavy breathers and oddballs and things, which was fine. But it's bad. Famously, that's how you start doing that graveyard shift.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere, but it's really bad for your health because at 5 we finish about 9, and that's when I want a kebab. You know,
nowhere's open.
Then I put on like 4 stone during the early shift. It was an absolute disaster.
Your diet's all over the place.
Awful.
And you sleep.
It's such an anti-social shift.
Yeah.
I'd have to.
Because you've got to go to bed early, so you can't really do anything, can you?
Yeah, blackout blinds.
Oh, God,
I'd leave friends. We'd go to the pub quiz on a Sunday night. I'd be like, all right, guys, it's 6 p.m. We've got to go to bed. It was awful.
They just think you were boring.
Yeah, it was horrible. So now I've got the best gig in the afternoons.
So how did you get the job in the first place?
Well, a lot of luck with me, and I was really jammy and really fortunate. So I did student radio at university.
Of course. Another classic way up the ladder.
Absolutely. Fresh Air was the University of Edinburgh student radio station, and I did that with my buddy. We were terrible. We were called the next Richard and Judy. Cringe.
Who's good when they start, though?
Yeah, but why would you want to be the next Richard and Judy?
Strange aspirations.
But we also dressed up as them.
Oh my God.
Forgetting
Is there photos of this online?
There are some.
We'll find them and we'll put them in the show notes.
But it's radio. No one wants to. So, do you remember when Judy Finnegan had the wardrobe malfunction at and she accidentally let
and didn't realise.
Didn't realise one of her breasts escaped.
Yeah.
So I did that. I thought it was hilarious. So there's that.
You did that on radio. That's impressive.
Exactly. I think there was a webcam, but it just we got unwanted views, and so that's what I did. And then I did like the classic route. I did hospital radio.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, but like just don't play.
That's good for getting all your experience and talking and that, and
it's so
filling
good.
dead space and dead air and awkward pauses and
absolutely
thinking of things to say all the time.
Probably don't want to say dead air in a hospital too much.
Well,
there were certain songs you couldn't play, like Bee Gees "Staying Alive." In fact, Tragedy.
Like a list.
Like all the Bee Gees songs are a nightmare. Yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, hospital radio was amazing. Learned the basics. They were incredible at the Cumberland Infirmary.
Ah, okay.
Radio Echo, they're awesome.
So did you have to move down?
So I moved down anyway. I was down here anyway with a...
Your family just moved down?
No, me. So I moved here with a partner, well, an ex-boyfriend. Thanks for bringing that up, Marc.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. Should we just end this now?
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Thanks for just reopening old wounds there, Marc. That's pretty awesome when I'm feeling hungover and tender.
Right.
So I moved here with a partner after Edinburgh. I was like, oh, baby, come here for a bit. Then I got the BBC gig. I did work. I did unpaid work experience for ages, and I was lucky. I made a demo, old school. I made a demo CD. It was so bad of me just reading the weather forecast, and I left it on the Radio Cumbria boss's desk. And months later, I was working in the pub, and he said, "We really like your voice. Can we try you out?"
And that was it?
So pretty jammy. It's a pretty jammy way.
That's how you got the morning one?
Yes, the early mornings. And I did like sport and travel at the weekends. They started out. And
on some of the other like daytime shows?
Yeah, I did like mid-morning and on weekends, which again was 9 till 12 on Saturday, Sunday, so no social life for those. And then I landed the dream, the afternoon show, which is just...
So you were doing that, was that class as your full-time job when you started doing that then?
Initially, no, there was a point when I was doing the early shift, the 5 a.m. shift, and working at Sports Direct. Can I say Sports Direct?
Yes, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I was working at Sports Direct and doing the early shift, so that was bleak.
God.
Yeah. Which was worse.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
It's got to be done, though.
Got to be done.
So at what point did you decide to... Is that when you got the afternoon show, then?
The afternoon show is full-time. Radio Cumbria. They are allowing me on air 15 hours a week, which is mad.
It doesn't, like, in terms of people's, like, a normal job, it doesn't sound many hours a week, but if you're talking on air...
Oh, yeah, no, I'm on air 15 hours. I actually go to work longer.
I know that,
but no, none of my friends
but
think
people
that.
would class that as just your job. You're only working when they press record.
Yes.
Or you're on air.
100%.
But that's only your job.
All my mean friends are like, what, you work 3 hours a day? No, I'm in doing...
Preparation.
Prep and interviews and the music and the quizzes and...
Yeah, so you've got to just think of that, because there's a lot of thought obviously goes into that. Are you allowed to do some of your own? Have you come up with your own ideas that have made it onto the show?
Yeah, I mean, my quizzes are... But they say there's nothing new in radio. I mean,
I've been listening.
Have you
'cause
been listening?
I knew you were coming on, so I've been listening.
Is it your... Because I know your band. I mean, I don't know if, if the music we play is your style. You're into Phil
it's
Collins?
a bit different, but
Yeah.
no, I like all sorts of music.
Yeah, so I had to come up with, like, the quizzes, and I do my little quiz game. Bit of a hit. That was my little...
I was so close to calling in the other day. But
You should have.
but
You should have. I love getting calls.
I'll call in next week sometime. I'll make sure I call in.
Please do. Text in. I would love that.
So how much time do you reckon you spend prepping for a typical show?
Well, it depends.
Or a week?
So yes, Friday's show, I had 3 pre-recorded interviews before. So I had one at 10 and one at 11:30, and so you pre-record them and I edit them and play them out during the show.
Yeah.
And so that was like, live interviews are always better, as you know, Marc. It's easier to talk face to face and so on.
Yeah.
But sometimes if it's a big name, you got to just adhere to what they can do.
You've got to do it when you can do it, can't you?
So it's Ray Mears, name drop.
Yep.
Ray Mears on Friday, so he could only do 10:30 in the morning. So I was like, right,
He called in.
He called in.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey Ray. First name Terrence.
Hey Ray.
You have to count how many name drops. You can clang every time I do a name drop.
You write down how many names
So
you
every
drops.
time I name drop, you have to do...
Do I write down the name?
So
Yeah.
it's first name is
It's
Ray
a sign of a
Mears.
good job, though, if you can name drop. To be fair.
So yeah, like I had Ray on Friday. Then I put the music in, do the quizzes, get that sorted. So yeah, I worked.
How long was the full chat with him?
I spoke to Ray for about 10-15 minutes and edited it down, sort of a nice 7-minute interview.
Is he promoting something at the minute? Is that why?
He is. He's actually... Oh, yeah, they always are.
Yeah,
You know, it's celebrity. It's almost Christmas, so they're always selling books and stuff. But Ray is actually touring. And Mr. Mears is going to be in Cumbria next month doing a survivalist lecture.
Where's that at?
The Sound Centre in
The
Connolly.
Sound Centre, of course.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen comedians there. I've never been to the Sound Centre for anything else.
Yeah.
Like, there's bands play there as well, but I've never been.
I've seen quite a few... Did you see Frankie Boyle?
Not a fan of Frankie Boyle.
Oh,
but I've seen Lee Mack,
Oh,
Jason Manford, and a couple of others who I can't remember.
I saw Frankie Boyle. He's like a patron saint in Scotland, you see.
I don't dislike him. I just not find him that funny.
Really?
I prefer Kevin Bridges.
No, he's wonderful. Kevin Bridges is excellent. Yeah.
Him and Billy Connolly. They're my favourite Scottish comedians.
Big Ian, I mean, he for me is the boy.
He's not doing so well at the moment, though, is he?
He's not well. He's very poorly.
Is he in his 70s now? He must be.
Yeah. And
He's been going a long time.
he's got a few things wrong with him, so get well soon, Billy.
I remember when he did when he's touring on his bike round the world.
Yeah.
I was in Australia when he was in Australia. Saw him we didn't get to talk to him. Saw him in Sydney that time Wednesday, but it's just like he's as famous in Australia or maybe all other countries as he is in the UK. Do you know what I mean? It's just incredible to see him on that trike. That would be some interview to have with him.
Billy Connolly would be in my top 5 of people I'd like to interview. But I've seen him because I'm from Aberdeen, so he's always about. And I saw him in a well-known bookshop. Rhymes with.
You can say you don't have to.
Waterstones.
You're not at work. You can say.
I can
whatever
say
you want.
Waterstones.
Yeah, yes, you can say Waterstones. It's fine.
That feels good.
You're not allowed to do that.
No. I once got a complaint letter because I mentioned Jaffa Cakes on the radio.
God. I don't understand.
They called for my resignation.
What? I don't get the logic.
But everyone loves Jaffa Cakes.
I know.
What are they complaining about? Are they trying to make you think that Jaffa Cakes don't exist?
Well,
so you're not allowed to mention them?
It was a throwaway comment I made about eating a packet of Jaffa Cakes, and being emotionally unstable. And then I got a written complaint, and they said Caroline Robertson should be fired from BBC Radio Cumbria for the love of Jaffa Cakes, because they thought I was. If you say that, they think you're plugging. I was wanting McVitie's to send me a bunch. If I was going to do that, I'd say, I really love Mercedes.
You'd say a lot more things than that.
Yeah, I love
I love biscuits that much.
Yeah, I love Benedict Cumberbatch. Loads.
He's going to come and see me now.
Yeah, I'd ask for more than just Jaffa Cakes. Although I'll also take free Jaffa Cakes.
But that's the job of, if you're at the BBC. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
you just got to adapt to that.
It's a minefield.
Yeah, but it's like on TV when they'll say a brand, but they'll go, other brands are also available. Like they have to say that.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't realise. I thought that was the only brand because he said it.
Yeah, I know. That's the disclaimer. But people aren't stupid.
No, they're not. They're just covering their own back, I suppose.
And no one cares where I shop. They're not going to. No one cares. So yeah, you try and just not mention it. And that's just anti-beeb.
Yeah, but it's a good job. You're lucky to have it.
It is the best job in the world. I'm so fortunate. I love it, and I am obsessed with radio. And what's really nice is radio people, and it's nice doing this because radio people, they're like a family, and we're all massive nerds.
Oh, of course.
Unashamed. I love radio. I like the logistics behind it, and I like it as a medium. I much prefer it to television, and so we're all really passionate about it, which is really important.
Yeah, I don't listen to radio as much as I used to. Obviously, it's never going to go away, but I think it's, I don't know, with the internet and stuff like that, I think less people, certainly at home, I can't imagine as many people listen to the radio, but in the car, you're always going to have the radio, I'd imagine. My first car only had a radio.
Yeah.
But there'll always be a place for radio, I think. I don't think it's never going to go away.
I totally agree with you. And I've never been more proud to work for BBC Radio Cumbria than during a horrible time during the floods in 2015. Yeah. And that was awful for so many, but the radio was a savior for many people, and just a voice, and I've never been more proud. It was a pleasure and honor to do that, and people calling in just devastated and upset, and getting advice on the radio. That was really cool, and which roads were closed and which rivers burst their banks. It was grim, but that's kind of what it's all about. In times of need, people do switch on more.
There'll always be. It's like CDs are sort of on the way out, but there'll always be people that buy CDs. Vinyl's never gone away.
No, vinyl.
That's for actually. I read a thing the other day about vinyls actually overtaking digital downloads.
Vinyl?
Not streaming, but downloads. People downloading songs off iTunes and stuff.
Really?
More people are buying vinyl. Listen to that then. Because obviously downloads at first was the number one, but then streaming came in and that's kind of overtaken it. People just on Spotify and stuff just pressing play rather than downloading. Yeah. That's kind of the number one now. But just... I
think the vinyl resurgence is really exciting.
Yeah.
It's
I've
awesome.
Bought one. I've started going back and getting some reissues and stuff.
There's funny videos of parents and grandparents
showing
it, their kids what to do, and they're like, "What do I do with this?"
Yeah.
And same with, I say cassette tapes.
Yeah, I saw one with a cassette with a Sony Walkman. And they were they were looking at it and they were going, "Where's the USB slot?"
It's amazing, isn't it? And that's how I remember listening to radio illegally, pressing play and record during the top 40 with Marc Goodyear.
I used to record all the charts.
Yes.
And then as I got towards in the 90s, the late 90s, they started make sure they talked over the intro and the outro.
And you had to try and he was always going to talk. No. And yet, just kind of like I used to all the time. Yeah,
but that was only so I could listen to it in my own time. I still bought albums and songs when they came out, but it's just what you did.
It's what you did. So, yeah, but I'm very passionate about it. Obviously, supporting the music industry and things. And as a former band man, you know the importance of that.
It's very important. Well, we've had this conversation many times on here about when file sharing and all that first came out, and the whole Napster thing and. When Metallica were the first band to make a stand, and they got a lot of shit for that. Yeah. But they were right.
But then what do you think of Jay-Z? Is it Tidal? Is that Jay-Z?
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
I mean, isn't that horribly... Music shouldn't be horribly expensive, though, and elitist. You should be able to get it for free. Does he not charge people?
I don't know. Well, you should be able... I don't know. You should pay for music. You should pay. If someone's put money into it, you should be paying for it.
It's more well, I mean, wasn't it Taylor Swift took her videos off YouTube and stuff? And I mean, it's a minefield. It's a legal minefield.
It is a legal minefield. But yeah, it's worrying that people are growing up, younger people, and they're used to not paying for music.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's going to continue, which is why if they're going to stream it, however they stream it, there should be a way for the money to get back to the artists, because they're always at the bottom of the pile.
Right.
Like the publishers and whoever owns the rights to it, then all the record companies, and what's left gets to the artist, which isn't very much.
No. And I like to go and see live gigs. That's the best way to see music. That's
the priority these days. Is the live show. The album's kind of a byproduct now.
Yeah.
It's just to support. It used to be the tour to support the album. Now it's an album to support a tour.
Okay.
It's totally flipped because no one buys the albums. Some people buy albums at gigs, physical CDs at gigs, but other than that,
yeah.
So it's all about being really good and getting good enough where people are going to pay to come and see you live. That's your priority as a band these days. Forget about you've got to have all your stuff online for people to find you, but it's got to be good enough for them to come and persuade. That's got to be good enough. Your product's got to be good enough to persuade them to come and pay to see you live.
See, that's it.
That's the ultimate goal these days. Whereas it used to be all about the album. Everything was on the album.
That's really awesome.
Or if you got played on the radio, you'd sell another 200,000 copies.
Exactly.
Now it's like, I've been played on this radio station. And?
Yeah, no one cares.
No?
Yeah, no, that's very, very true.
Well, I also think like radio is getting more into the conversational side of things as well, not just playing music.
Yeah, talk radio is
just important.
Really big right now.
Yeah.
We at Radio Cumbria, well, my show is like sort of a 60-40 mix, music chat and guests.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you know how much time you spend actually talking on air versus
Are you like
press and
working
play?
out if I'm worth the license fee?
I didn't have that thought. I didn't have the time to do it, but I thought, right, I'm going to 3 days. I'm going to like press play on a timer when she's talking.
That's really, don't do that.
I'd love to know how much.
She's very expensive. No,
But some of the other ones, like Radio 1, they're like that. Someone's on 3 hours and they do very little talking.
Yeah, they'll do 4 songs in a row.
Sometimes in a row, and then a jingle and an advert.
Yeah. No, we local radio is very much talk focused, based.
Yeah. I think they're more like, especially Radio 1. They're more strict on what they've got to play every
Absolutely.
hour. It's like the same songs.
They'll have a set playlist for that month or so, like
yeah.
and
This is the A, then the B, then the C, isn't it?
Yeah, gold songs. They've got to be played about 15 times a day. And
Yeah.
Then,
I get how it works because different people listen at different times of day, so you've got to play it enough times so that everyone hears it.
Absolutely.
I know how it works, but if you listen to the radio all day, it can be infuriating hearing the same songs over and over again. Which is why it's good to either listen in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening. If you listen all day, it'll drive you nuts.
And that's how people listen. People listen to radio for short bursts.
Yeah, on the way to work or lunchtime or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not deluded. I'm pretty certain no one listens to my show for 3 hours. They'll dip in and out.
Some people will, I'm sure.
Oh,
They must do.
thanks, Mum. She doesn't. She listens to Jeremy Vine. What am I talking? Like, she doesn't even like me. She prefers Steve Wright. But yeah, no. And what we always say is, you want like they call it a freezer bag moment. This is a good industry thing.
Oh, I've not heard of that.
So that is when you're telling an anecdote or you're doing a great guest on your show, and you get the listener hooked, so that if they pulled up on their driveway with the groceries and there's some stuff that needs to go in the freezer, like the fish fingers, but you're so good, they'll let it thaw just a couple more minutes to listen to your thing.
Yeah.
So like that, I'm always like, if I can make someone laugh one time or go, oh, what was that? Is that Ray Mears? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, then that's a good thing. I've done a good thing there.
Yeah, well, we were talking before, you like podcasts as well.
Yes.
I've had some where I'll get home and I won't get out of the car for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll just have to finish this conversation and then I'll get out.
That's great radio, and that's the magic of radio.
Yeah.
And you're never alone with radio. You've always got a buddy.
That's
I love
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love I'm always laughing. Look, with your headphones on. You know when you're walking down the street. I'm always doing that, and that's just awesome. I love it. And you feel like you know your favorite DJs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the only advantage I would say with podcasts is it's a bit more free in terms of if they have a guest on, they can talk for longer and they can cover more subjects. Whereas it's like TV is probably the worst for that when they're obviously pushing a product. There's like a formula for them. They come on, talk about the product, tell a funny story, and then off you go. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you see that same person, they're going to be on one of your podcasts that you do, that's going to be a good conversation because they're going to talk for an hour at least.
And do you edit this and just so it's just the best bits?
Not usually, no.
Oh, no.
It's the full thing.
Okay, so you got to be entertaining for a
I think that's the other beauty of podcasts. You don't need to edit it. You don't,
Yeah.
Unless someone says something ridiculous or you have some technical issues.
Just let it go.
I think
I
that's
like
why.
that. TV's very strict. They're like, right, we got 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's like you just get cut off if you run over.
Oh, 100%.
It's harsh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
There's been some bad ones with bands, like if they're overrun or something, they've just been cut off, or if someone's sworn by accident.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes some people just can't. Do you ever struggle to not swear?
Well, I'm a total potty mouth.
Well, I have to listen to your show for a few times. You do very well not to then.
But yeah, between 2 and 5, I am so well behaved on a weekday.
It takes some training though.
It really, really does. I have to self-censor, and
have
that's.
you had any slip-ups ever in your radio career?
Many. I've not sworn, but guests have sworn. And as the presenter, you're in control of the guests. Like, you are responsible for making sure they behave. So should I tell the story? Can I swear?
Of course you can.
It's not that bad, but it was one of my first ever radio shows.
Right.
In Whitehaven.
Okay.
Which I love.
This is not BBC?
This was Radio Cumbria, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was at the Whitehaven Festival. And I was
so this is for when you were on the afternoon show?
Afternoon show, but I was doing an outside broadcast.
Right, okay,
so it was live from Whitehaven Festival. Like the Bay City Rollers were playing in the evening. So I was just chatting to some punters. I was like, oh, so hello. And this lovely lady looked like a little angel. She was in like a little yellow pinafore and she looked so sweet. And I was like, oh, hello there. So what's your name? Oh, yes, it's Madeline. Oh, hi, Madeline. Who are you here to see? Oh, the Bay City Rollers. I was like, oh, yeah, fantastic. So you're going to see, what are you going to do after that? Well, I'm going to watch the Bay City Rollers, then afterwards I'm going to get absolutely arseholed. What? And then I went, here's Will Young. Like, I didn't know what to do.
I think you handled that rather well.
I was really young. I was maybe 23, one of my first ever shows. But she looked like butter wouldn't melt. Also, who says arsehole?
I know.
Like, sozzle.
Rat-arsed.
Rat-arsed. I think she got a weird swearing, like, fusion word. Arsehole is so grim. Like, it's just so offensive and brutal. But she was so cute. And she was loving it. She was laughing after she said it.
So did you pre-warn her that she was live on the BBC?
Yes.
Oh, God. Oh, well.
She was saving that up.
Yeah, that was a little, like, lead you on. Nice, like normal interview. Just drop that in right at the end.
And then you've got,
see how she handles this.
Terribly sorry if anyone was offended by any of the language used there. But this is a live program.
Did you get any complaints, or did your bosses say anything?
Folk loved it. Everyone who heard it said it was hilarious. But
there you go.
I love Whitehaven, but I mean, that was just a classic. One of my first ever shows. Arsehole.
Do you have many people in the studio, like guests in the studio?
I do, yeah. I like to do that. Like Friday, I've had bands on. Like, it's nice to do a little acoustic set. And, so some days, I have loads of people in a really busy studio. Other days, it's me by myself in a box for 3 hours. And you have to for your own sanity, you have to not think about, like, am I talking to myself? And so I get, like, the texts and calls, which shows
it keeps you going. That I would
some
imagine.
people listening, which is nice. But it is a weird thing when you think about it.
It's just you on your own.
Got the weatherman, the travel man, and me.
Yeah. There's no one in the studio. Like, you don't have a producer
I'll have a fella answering the phones outside.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's like through the glass.
Right. Okay.
And I'll be like, latte? No. I'm not. But
I suppose you just play 3 songs if you want to get a brew, don't you?
Here's an industry. If a DJ plays Hey Jude or November Rain
or anything by Iron Maiden,
anyway, Rush, if they're playing some prog rock, they're gonna make a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
They're having a brew.
Oh, they've gone for number 2.
I was gonna say they're doing something unpleasant. Yeah, so Hey Jude's about 7, the full version about 7 minutes 23. So that's a good one if you want to make a cuppa.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So it's a funny old gig, but it's the best job in the world.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And I'm finding it really hard not to interview you.
You can,
like,
ask us
that's what I do.
Like,
I'm
fine.
I'm an absolute nightmare, and like I think that's why I'm probably terrible on dates, because I just like. So tell me about yourself.
Shut. Pull out a notepad.
So your childhood, was it difficult? I just
get your phone out and just press record. Right, let's do this.
But I think it's good. But that is a natural thing as a radio presenter, and you doing what you do. I'm always.
It's better. Makes better for the overall conversation. It's not just one way. It's not just one person. Like, I don't class this as an interview. I hope that like most podcasts, hopefully aren't interviews. They're like just a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like on there was a recent Joe Rogan one where he's talking to someone about podcasts, and he's saying someone said to him who almost putting podcasts down. So who sits down and talks for 3 hours? And he went, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you should be doing, with no distractions.
Yes.
No internet. No, like, how often do you do that?
You're so right. This is actually really like refreshing. It's actually talking to a human.
One of the reasons why I wanted to do it in the first place.
Like making eye contact and not looking at my Instagram feed and like, you know what I mean? It's like actually talking to a human being. And
yeah, because like some podcasts do them live, so they do get like interaction and fans, like people, but they read them out. But I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just talk to someone, because it's like sometimes when I have musicians on who I've known for years for the band, but I never get to talk to them because it's always at a gig where it's either they're busy, I'm busy. You get 10 minutes to say the usual conversation. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Good. All right. See you later.
I think because they say nowadays we're more social than ever because we can socialize through this and that, and
in a way we're less social.
Totally.
You're so social. You're unsocial.
Yeah, I'm socializing constantly on my smartphone.
And usually not with people that you know.
No.
Acquaintances.
Yeah. Isn't that
mainly
awful?
what Facebook is.
So podcasts, I think, are very, as you say, that they're huge, that they're so the
free.
future. Yeah. I follow many great podcasts, and it's just humans interacting and talking on a very...
The Joe Rogan one was the first
level.
one I ever listened to. That was an actual podcast. It was online, because, he shares he puts a link out on Facebook, says we've gone live, and you can just click on and watch the video version of it live, which is something we want to do eventually. Not that there's any internet at the studio, but I'd like to go live.
That'd be awesome.
Add an extra dimension to it.
I think you should do a live late night one.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
With drinks and
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan. I think he's great. And, that kind of opened my mind a little bit too.
Well, for me, it was just... I'd seen him before, and I'd never... It was like one night when I couldn't get to sleep, so I just started watching it, and he was talking... I can't remember who it was. And he was talking about, like, the galaxy or the possibilities of, and I just started thinking, and I thought, I've never talked to my friends or anybody about stuff like this. Like,
you should.
You should. Like, how often do you sit down with your friends without your phones or without something in the background and just talk? You know what I mean? So I thought that started the journey for me. But back then, podcasts weren't big because I had to go to his website, download it on my computer, plug my phone in, transfer it to my phone, and then go to my car. But now, obviously, podcasts, you have an app, so you just click subscribe, and every time there's an episode, boom, there it is.
There it is.
Which is why I think it's becoming so popular.
I like to listen to them before I go to bed.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll go to sleep to the dulcet
I think
tone.
most people, it's like walking the dog, gym, or in the car.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be there a long time. So, especially driving, if he's got a good podcast with a good conversation, the journey just flies by.
Yeah.
Like I said before, sometimes you get home and you don't want it to finish.
That's so
you just
true.
want them to keep talking.
That is the magic. Yeah.
But it's just so convenient as well. Like certain cars, like whatever you listen to, you get back in your car. Like a Ford, they've got Ford Sync, so it just starts playing. Your Bluetooth just connects up instantly. It starts playing the podcast exactly where you left it off, without you having to do anything.
That's brilliant.
I'm like, wow.
It is brilliant. No, I am very fascinated by the podcast, and I think it is kind of the future of radio. And a lot of your favourite programmes will do their best bits.
Oh yeah, this is something I was going to talk about. BBC do podcasts, but Cumbria don't.
BBC Radio Cumbria?
Yeah, I looked at the BBC website, and it has all the shows that do like the best bits without the music and the adverts, which is great for me.
Yeah.
I'm subscribed to quite a few of those and a few other companies as well. But Cumbria doesn't seem to have any.
We're kind of working on it. I think
you should. I think it's a
good thing. I think our listeners are maybe just not the podcast generation at the moment. We aim at sort of older listeners, I'd say.
Yeah.
Older. I mean, what is old now? But probably.
But it's still, if it was
plus.
there in the medium where younger people are, or different types of it, they might pick it up.
Yeah.
Is it something you've spoken about?
Although I'm thinking. It has come up, and we're actually, we've got quite a good social media presence now.
If all the other ones are doing it, there's no reason why you should be doing it.
Yeah, I think we've got a big social media presence now, Radio Cumbria, which is good, and
that's a good place to share things like that.
Yeah, we tweet, we Facebook. Maybe I could do it, although best bits.
You'd be a good person to have your own podcast, I think.
Do I have enough for best bits? Sometimes there's weeks I'm like, there was no best bits.
Well, someone has to go. Someone has to be listening to it and go. You have to.
Troll
well, I don't know if
through
you could do that yourself. Listen back to it and then cut out all the best bits.
There is nothing worse than listening to yourself back.
But you wouldn't do it daily. Do a best of the week.
Yeah.
Do once a week.
Do you hate your voice on?
No,
tape?
I used to.
I don't like mine.
Before the band, I used to hate the sound of my own voice, but you just do so many interviews and you just get used to it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's your voice.
I still cringe listening back.
You shouldn't really.
I do. There's
very few people where like they don't like their voice, and you listen to their voice and you go, "Yeah, I don't like it either." That just doesn't happen. Someone sounds like the Crankies or something like that.
The Crankies? They're like my people. What are you talking about? I know them. Every Scottish person knows the Crankies.
No, your voice is fine.
Thank you. That's really
I did used to have struggle like listening to my own voice, but just got used to it.
Yeah, and I've always people are very, very kind. I think a Celtic lilt helps. They like that, and I've got a funny Scottish voice because Mum's really posh and Dad was a farmer, so I kind of sound like a Lorraine Kelly-esque farming.
That's not a bad person to sound like.
It's a great thing. Yeah, she's got a lovely voice, but
you got a Scottish accent, but it's not totally broad. Where some Scottish accents they're difficult to follow.
Well, I love the Glaswegian accent. That's my favourite one. But I think in Cumbria they had to softly introduce me because...
Has your accent changed then? Do you think you've adapted it? It quite often happens to people in the media, like Jason Manford doesn't have the typical Manc voice. He's got a bit of it, but he's toned it down, I think, obviously because he's comedy. it makes it easier to understand. Especially certain jokes might just get missed if
Yeah.
you pop all right there, lad.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, but I think naturally it happens. I mean, the first show I did, I got a text that said, "Get this jock off the radio." Yeah, again, thanks, Dad, for listening. But yeah, get this jock off the radio. So, but I never toned it down. In fact, if anything, I can't listen to my first show because I'm doing a fake posh radio voice.
You're trying too hard.
Trying too hard.
Yeah.
It's like, and good, very good morning to you. You're listening to BBC Radio Cumbria. That's not what I do. And I had a great
Should just be
mentor,
yourself.
actually, and he was like, Caroline, do you talk to your friends like that in the
Well,
pub?
this is the thing. This is a lot of DJs do that. It's like, hi, welcome to you. And it's like, does he go home, talk to his wife? Like, good evening, darling. What do we have for tea? It's just like, no,
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
It's really, like the newsreaders do it as well.
Yeah,
Hello. That's the evening news. Like, they go up and they come down.
absolutely. And Prime Minister Theresa May. No one talks like that
No.
in real life.
And finally tonight.
Hey, next up, guys. What's for dessert? Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe I'll do that.
Well, there's that Michael McIntyre one where the guy who does the lottery. Do you think he goes to like the petrol station? If he was working at the petrol station, that's the 17th time you've pump number 4.
Jason Manford did a skit about the blokes that present like children's TV, who are always dead hyper about everything. Do you think they do that in real life?
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you want a pint? I'd love a pint!
Thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
But it's worse in America. Some of the American ones, it's like they're just so corporate. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's like
But-
CNN and Fox and all that.
They like shock jocks.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
and
Everything's just for ratings. And
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the same with the articles that you read some of the headlines, then you read the article and go, what? That doesn't even. That's hardly. You've picked out one thing that doesn't even relate to most of the article,
Yeah.
and you've used that as the headline. It's just like, it's just the world we live in today, isn't it?
Yeah, big time.
But
Big time. But children's TV is something no. That's just a no. I know people who do that and work in Blue Peter and things.
Children
and,
are cruel.
wow, they're really mean. They're the meanest critics, and they're also hilarious. Like, kids are so funny.
They're hilarious for everybody else who's watching, not necessarily
Yeah.
for you. when you're
Yeah,
working with them.
they do not like being patronised. I did a little bit of TV. My first foray into television was for children in need.
Okay.
So you know when like the late great Teddy Wogan would be like, "And now let's go to where you are, children in need."
That's a good impression, that.
So,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
I didn't know. That just happened organically. But so I was in Keswick. So it was like, and then they cut live from London to Keswick, and there I am with Pudsey, and that was insane.
I'll bet it was.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
A couple of years ago.
Okay.
So I had to do and they're yelling in your ear, and I was like, "So how much have you raised? £35 in a bake sale." And I was like, "Back to you, Dermot O'Leary." And then but they were yelling in my ear, counting it down, 5, 4.
I don't think I could do that. There's too much going on to concentrate on what actually listen to what the person's saying at the same time and take it in. There was one, you know that It'll Be Right on the Night where it has the outtakes. There was one of it was like a children in need where there was like a telethon where there was a studio where people phoning in, and there was this guy and this family who brought this check in for like 35 grand that they'd raised, where he'd lost a leg or something like that, and he'd done all this walking and got a wheelchair, but he was telling this story and like how, because he was saying how he was in the army and he had leg amputee and stuff. She clearly wasn't listening. She had like someone in her ear.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
like it was a pretty sad story, and she just went, "That's fantastic! Let's back to the studio."
No.
And I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. You really do, and it's so easy to do. Because everyone's got a word like a safe word, safe. You know what I mean? Like and I go, "Oh, brilliant!" Like I hear myself saying it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just got to be careful because you're right. Someone's opening their heart. Yes, and I was a refugee and evacuated during the war. Brilliant stuff. It's so easy to.
Yeah. Well, it's like in your job as well. Like if you interview people, you've got focus. It's a skill. It's something I've learned doing this. Like you're not just listening to them talking. You've actually got to listen to what they're saying so that you've got something to say. Because some people have, like I've written things down here to talk to you about, but I'm not just waiting to go to the next one.
Yeah.
Like what you say, I might have something to add to it, or vice
Exactly.
versa. And if you don't do that, then you're missing out on half the conversation.
Sometimes you hear interviewers ask a question that they've already answered.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
bad.
that's bad.
That means you're not listening.
Oh yeah, they'll ask a similar question to what they asked way earlier in the interview, and you go, hang on.
And they go, "Well, as I said, I did the." And that's always mortifying. So that's.
I was
really-
watching something the other day. I think it might have been on. You know, when you go on YouTube and you get sidetracked by what about this and what about this? And
Oh
what
yeah,
about
you
this?
get to the
And,
deep,
like, you
deep
listen to something
dark.
completely different to what you started on. Well, I can't remember what I started on, but I ended up on interviews going bad. There was one with Denzel Washington. There was this BBC woman. It was for a film it's for Unstoppable, the one with the train.
Okay, yeah,
Chris
yeah,
Pine.
Never saw it.
He must have been having a bad day because she was asking questions. He was just going, nope. Yeah.
Oh dear.
She was just like, but she kept going. She had all these she had really good questions as well, and he was just going, I suppose.
What's wrong with Denzel?
I know, and it's just
Seems so
I
charming.
know. I started reading the comments on it, but he must have just been having a bad day.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the interviewer's job.
If he's been doing 75 of those a day,
you got to keep it fresh.
And he's not had any food or anything like that.
That's it. If you have a bad day, you have to get the best out of your guest, and that they could be exhausted. They've done 75, as you say. So I always try and throw like a curveball question.
Yeah.
That
Try not to ask the questions that you think everyone else is
they'll
asking.
all ask that. So ask something different. And I've had that before. I don't know if I should drop names. Maybe.
Just drop away.
Richard Hammond.
Oh, okay. That's
Clang.
A good one.
He.
You need to some edit so we can add sound effects. Every time she says one.
So Richard Hammond used to work at Radio Cumbria, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like him a lot, but he was not having a good day. And I was like, right, let's turn this around, Richard. Come on now. So I was like being really charming. And what did I say? Oh, yeah, because he started on radio. So I said something like, so, you started Radio Cumbria. He was like, yeah. When did you realize you didn't have a face for radio and could work on television? So he loved that. He was like, oh, well, yes. I started doing, and then he talked about his Top Gear edition. And it started as a really cold, the first 3 minutes were bad. And then by the end, he was laughing.
I think every time you ask a question that they've been asked 100 times, it just goes down.
Oh.
And you ask another one, it goes down. But then when you ask something different, it goes back up.
You have to fight, though, to make it a good interview.
Yeah. And that's a skill in itself.
Yeah.
I think. It'd be difficult to not just be demoralised and just admit defeat.
Absolutely. Many times the celebrity's been delightful and their agents are a nightmare.
I've seen some of them.
I don't want to get sued. But Mel C. Clang.
Go for it.
AKA Sporty Spice, who I'm channeling with my
tribute. Well done.
with my sports gear today. She was ace, but her people were quite awkward at one point. I don't want to get sued, so. But they were like, oh well, Mel will not talk about the Spice Girls. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like all my questions are all Spice Girls.
Do you think if she's doing 10, 20 in a day, no one's going to ask her about the Spice? There'd be nothing to talk about.
I was like, girl, you were in the biggest girl band of all time.
You should be proud of it and just talk about it. They're still gonna ask you whatever it is about you promoting anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. It'd be weird to have Mel C on and not talk about the Spice Girls.
You can't do it.
But sometimes they're funny about things like that if they want to plug something else. But
I wonder if she wouldn't have minded, but they didn't.
I reckon she wouldn't have minded, but
because they just wanted they would have just wanted her to focus on what she was there to talk about.
Yeah,
which is
plug the other thing. Yes, yeah. So it's about being charming and getting the best from your guests.
It's funny because some people like that would show up with an entourage and agents and stuff, and other people just come up on their own.
Yeah.
I've listened to many podcast interviews where you get complete, like David Lee Roth.
Oh yeah.
From Van Halen was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He just came up on his own. He was wearing like dungarees.
Love it.
Drove up in his own car.
Yeah.
Just showed up and then went.
That's
Whereas
awesome.
there's been I didn't know this at the time, but he's got like a green room of his own, and there was some people he has on. There's like a whole room full of people that they've brought. But he won't let them in, obviously.
No.
It will just affect the conversation. But
Yeah.
like Kevin Hart has a huge tribe of people that he takes everywhere with him.
Really?
Yeah. But it's just, I suppose it just depends on the person and what kind of business they're in.
Absolutely.
They get a lot of yes men.
Yes men are everywhere.
And they get an inflated ego, and
Yeah.
it changes them, doesn't it?
It really does.
They're not quite the same, like especially for an interview, they're not the same as they would have been before they got famous, or at the beginning when they got famous. They get to a certain level and everything changes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a shame. But sometimes podcasts because you can't on a podcast it goes beyond the usual. You get past the beginning usual questions and you go a bit deeper.
Definitely.
You can't keep if you're on Joe Rogan, you can't keep that for 3 hours.
No. And weirdly, and that's another skill. Like people open up to you when you put a microphone in front of them.
Yeah.
What is that?
Or they clam up.
They're either like super scared or it's where everything's going to come out. It's really strange.
Sometimes it starts off with a clam up and then they kind of loosen up and they get going.
Absolutely.
But that's your job to make that happen as soon as possible. I
The
suppose.
stuff that people have told me, and I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
And people, I think they open up to strangers sometimes more than they do their loved ones and close friends, because it's easy to talk to a stranger.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Well, unless it's live on air in front of... it's going to get downloaded by 1 million people.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I've had people talk to me about really intimate things, and mental health and depression. They'll just tell you everything. I'm like, that's amazing.
There was Chester Bennington was on I can't remember which one it was. He was on a radio station only a couple of months before he killed himself.
Yeah.
Talking about how he has struggles with stuff like that, but how he felt like he'd got through the worst of it. But you just never know, do you?
So sad. I was a huge Linkin Park fan.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I was when it first came out. I was. I remember
Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, I remember buying that album. I was.
There's not a bad song on Hybrid Theory.
It was again that came out when I was in Australia, I think, and I remember buying it and just being blown away by it because it was just so different, wasn't it?
It was
so
amazing. And I was sort of a emo 15-year-old. I had like black nail polish, and I remember having Hybrid Theory on and being like, "Mom, leave me alone!" Like, that was Caroline, tea's ready. No, I was like that kind of Kevin the teenager. But yeah, that was just so sad.
A shock, wasn't it? Especially after Chris Cornell as well.
Oh my goodness!
People say that was part of the reason why he decided, because he was one of his like best friends and a big influence in his life.
Absolutely, Chester Bennington. He sang at Chris Cornell's funeral, didn't he?
And I think he thought that he couldn't like get through it and survive it. So how am I going to?
So.
And a video came out recently of the night before. He was with like friends and family having a party, and he was like having a great time,
laughing and joking. Yeah. Like depression doesn't have you can't tell how it looks.
No.
But I think it was good in the sense that, well, if you look at positives from everything, the positive is like men need to talk about stuff, and men in like the music industry.
Yeah.
You think rockers are like, oh yeah.
Well, they want to keep this persona, don't they? This hard man persona where they're indestructible and they don't need to talk to anyone about anything, and you just nothing like that happens to anyone, but it does, and
absolutely.
you just never know.
You never know.
Like, there's always good to come from bad things like that. Just raising awareness, I guess.
Think so.
It's like the AIDS thing when Freddie Mercury died.
Yeah, Freddie.
That was the first time that was kind of in the mainstream media.
A high-profile
It took that
Yeah.
for people to start paying attention and say, what can we do about this? And they had that benefit concert a year later when all the people kept... Did you remember that? It was at Wembley in 92, I think it was, when like David Bowie and people were... everyone was take different songs with Queen in Wembley Stadium, and it was just like... That was the first time. It was
a high-profile person who died of AIDS, and...
I think it was the first... He was the first person of that level that happened, wasn't it? I think so.
And then, definitely. Well, it was all very hush-hush.
Plus homosexuality and all that.
Yeah.
That wasn't really talked about either.
So Freddie is one of my heroes.
Oh, I love Freddie.
What would you say in terms of voices? Like, I think kind of unparalleled. I don't think
the range. If you think of all the people who've sang with Queen on his songs, no one's even come close.
No, and it's Adam Lambert's.
He does very well.
He's great. I think he's really
but he's
great.
just different. He's not. No one could ever emulate that.
He would never try and be him. Yeah.
No, you couldn't imagine him doing like what he did at Wembley.
Amazing.
That was just like, it was like 25 minutes, and it was like the best 25 minutes you've ever seen a band do ever, I think.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching that thinking it was a snippet of their full headline show, and everyone was just there to see them.
Yeah.
But little did I know there was like loads of other bands playing that day, and they were just a small part of it.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely like for him to like get a crowd. No one, I don't think there's anybody like that.
Amazing.
They used to play that. They did that hologram thing where the band played with him as a hologram, and they played the video of him. You know that bit when he does "Hey," and then they play that. And it's like, wow. I'm not sure about the hologram stuff. It's still in trial.
That's
They've done it with James Dio as well.
So this is when they like put up a hologram of an artist.
It's like actually on the stage.
That's
like
amazing.
a 3. It's kind of sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I've seen Gorillaz do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
It would be weird.
That's the future. And they tried it with Whitney Houston.
Yeah. It's like tribute bands, I suppose. If they're no longer with us, that's the closest you're going to get. I don't really get tribute bands if the band's still going.
Yeah.
And doing rather well. You've got a tribute band making money off a band who's still going.
Oh, that's interesting.
I like to see a tribute band where that's the best you can get because the band's no longer with us.
I mean, I'm devastated I'll never now see David Bowie live.
Yeah.
So I went to see a tribute, and
there you go.
We had so much fun.
Exactly.
And it was just a celebration of his music.
If you could, like, because some of them are quite expensive, the tributes, but if you still had the option to go and see the original artist, I find that a bit weird.
That is odd, isn't it? There's lots of like Lady Gaga tributes and
Adele tributes and Michael Bublé, and I'm like,
that's a bit
why?
weird, isn't it?
Should that really be allowed? What do they think about that?
Yeah.
Them doing that, like people making money off them, even though you're still current.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I'm in the chart. I'm still here, guys. I'm in the chart.
Well, I don't need a tribute. You don't need to do a tribute to me yet. I'm still here.
Yeah, there's an Ollie Murs tribute.
Oh God,
he can't be doing so good. Come on.
I think he is, surely.
Ollie Murs.
You play him on your show, do you?
Always big on Radio Cumbria.
So he must be doing all right.
He's a little cheeky chappy.
Yeah,
he's all right. He's okay.
There was an article about some of the major pop artists, how some of their chord progressions are very similar to songs that have been before.
Oh, really?
Ollie Murs was one. So like Thinking of You, one of his songs, is just like dodgy.
Good enough?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The chord progressions of his chorus versus their verse is almost the same.
Well, it's hard though. Again, is there anything new in music? And is it
Well,
not?
yeah,
is it not a good thing if you're inspired by other artists? Remember the Marvin Gaye, Robin Thicke debacle?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a little tenuous.
Yeah, and there's the Bittersweet Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
That is Rolling Stones, I think.
Yeah, it's
So
Not
they
Fade
don't-
Away?
Yeah. So they don't make... No, Bittersweet Symphony is sampled from... I'm sure it's Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Is it called Not Fade Away?
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
it is
Oh,
that
that's
one.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the song.
So they... the Verve don't make a penny. They've never made a penny from that song. Because they didn't... I think they didn't get permission.
Oh, my goodness.
Or they got permission to use a part of it, and they ended up using the whole thing. Like, the whole section of those... That string section is ripped off from them. So they've not made a penny from it. It's their biggest song.
It is. It sure is. Played it the other day.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's...
There's lots of examples of that.
You wouldn't have got any money, Ashcroft.
No. I don't think he'll complain though, because he's still got a lot of the good
He's
songs.
doing fine.
And people still pay to see him play, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, I just don't like reducing music to that kind of It just, to me, is very like anti kind of what it's about. It's very
That's true.
money grabbing, and I don't like that.
I also don't like when radio stations don't play the full version of songs. But I get why they do it.
Go on.
I get why they
go
do
on.
it.
Well, yeah, I think it's shocking as well. Like if I had a more specialist show, maybe late at night, I could get away with the 7-minute version of Lying Eyes.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and this is across all stations, Radio 2, National, us, local, they're like, oh no, 4 minutes is enough.
Maximum,
We don't like much more than 4, weirdly. And I get complaints.
Yeah. I used to do that sometimes when I used to listen. I don't really listen to mainstream radio much these days, but I used to listen to the Chris Moyle show back in the day.
Yeah.
But I used to have this timer thing where as soon as he'd play a song, I'd go to a podcast or a CD or something, wait 3 minutes to pass on my clock, and go back, and he'd be like, "Welcome back."
Yeah, yeah.
Because they didn't have podcasts really back then, so that's what I would have. If he had a podcast, then I would have just downloaded
You were more
that.
into the chat than the tunes.
Yeah.
But Lion Eyes by the Eagles is the classic, and I get complaints about it all the time because it's a song that tells a story, and I'm cutting out a verse of a story.
So in their opinion, you shouldn't play it then if you can't play the full version.
I personally believe that as well. And I've told my boss this.
Yeah.
He knows how I feel. I say we shouldn't forget it. Forget it. So I'm not
So
playing
who
the
does
whole thing.
decide what you on your show should play? Do you have is there a playlist?
Yeah, there is.
Some things that you have to play.
Yeah, there's a local radio playlist. So like
Right.
we would play the new Adele one, and that
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
The
and
usual stuff.
People want to hear that.
Yeah.
And then we're mainly 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
So there's a good mix. And yeah, the song choices, they're selected by a sort of group of folk.
Do you have? Can you sometimes?
I can say I think we ought to be playing this.
Okay.
So my famous battle was I don't like Ed Sheeran, and I'm very vocal
Fine.
about it.
I'm
He's
not,
just
I'm not a fan either. I
his
don't
music-
hate him, but
He seems like a really nice human being.
I saw him.
He's
He was at Glastonbury, and I thought he did rather well.
I'm sure he's a lovely human. I would definitely go for a drink with him.
Yeah.
But the music I think is dreadful.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I can't believe he sells out arenas. Like I'm with Noel
Wow.
Gallagher on that one. Yeah. But I'm not an idiot. I'm not so arrogant. Millions disagree with me. We should be when he released Divide and he was in the top 20, like 15 of the top 20 songs
Yeah.
were him. I was like, we ought.
That sounds
to
like
be
a
playing-
no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. We've got to be playing Ed Sheeran.
If you'd play Adele when she brings a single out, why would you not play him?
So we play some of Ed, but we only play like the dirges, the slow ones.
Yeah.
I quite like Sam Smith. We're playing him. at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit of Sam Smith. I like Sam. He's got a bit more spunk to him than Ed
Yeah.
Sheeran.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should be playing Ed Sheeran because he's one of the best-selling artists of all time.
So what's their argument for why they don't?
Well, they do, but the sad ones. I wanted the fun ones. I like Galway Girl.
Oh, fair enough.
You heard that
yeah,
one.
Yeah. It's interesting about what types of songs you should play, the more upbeat or the sad ones. Like, what do they think people want to hear?
They do tests. They do tests with folks, and they mark out of 10. You play them like a snippet of the music.
So that's
and-
people who of your demographic.
Yes.
Right.
And I can tell you that number
What is your
one,
demographic?
55 to 75-ish.
Oh, is
Well,
it?
so
I didn't
55
realise.
till
Whenever.
infinity.
65 plus.
Yeah, but anyone's allowed to listen. But yeah, that was the demographic, and they would mark the songs. Do you want to know what came out on top?
Go for it.
The Commodores. 3 times a lady.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that puts it into a different perspective. I didn't realise that was quite a demographic. That
And
makes more sense.
Sting, Fields of Gold was also very
I like
high.
that song. That makes more sense then to why they think Ed Sheeran's not that important to that demographic. But it doesn't mean
Well-
they couldn't enjoy it though.
I did my best joke when I played. It was political. I said, then Theresa May's favourite is Fields of Wheat. I don't know, it's old now. It's
Oh,
old.
God.
But you're right, and one of the best bits of advice I was ever given when I started as a disc jockey was every song is someone's favourite song.
That's true.
So, like, never be so arrogant to come off the back of a song and make fun of it. Because
Yeah.
that's someone's favourite.
Yeah.
I'm not an Adele fan. I don't get it. But I know how much that means to so many people.
But
so
I
would
also
never...
think sometimes you should be allowed to say if you don't like something.
Yeah, I mean, I do vocal. They know I don't like Adele and Ed Sheeran. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But I'm very aware I'm in the minority. But sometimes a song grows on you. If I don't like it, I probably won't say much. But I wouldn't be like, ugh.
You just go, there's such and such,
Yeah.
by such and such, like,
Yeah,
and
I
then
would
move on.
Just backhand it.
That's fair enough. It's very diplomatic of you.
Yeah. But because I think that's really important to remember. That could be someone's wedding song or someone's favorite song.
Yeah,
or
that's true.
memories for them, and so yeah, you can't be like, my taste. If it was up to me, I'd play Kanye West for 3 hours.
I was just going to ask, what would you play if you had your way?
I'd play like
If I had a Caroline Robertson day.
it would be the weirdest show ever. I played the Smiths. So
Yeah.
it'd be sad. It'd be Morrissey moaning about stuff, and then Kanye.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, maybe some.
You need to be on air. On your birthday, they should let you. Surely have some.
Oh, can you imagine Elvis Costello?
There you go.
Play a bit of Elvis Costello.
Surely that would be your demographic.
Yeah,
Would appreciate
yeah.
a bit of that.
Yeah, they like a bit of that. I like a bit of that, but there's a bit of squeeze.
Yeah. If it's
Clearly-
in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, then what's the problem?
I mean, I have the taste of like a 65-year-old man.
I would stay away from like maybe Sex Pistols and all that. But
Yeah. Yeah, the punks.
Yeah.
The punks will text in now and then.
because your people of like take in that respect, your demographic would be very well aware of that. But like back in the day, they would be like horrified by it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what the kids listen to rebel.
The best thing as well, you mentioned if you've ever had swear words on the radio, we have the radio edits of songs.
Oh, of course.
So are you familiar with the song by the Beautiful South called Don't Marry Her?
Don't marry her, marry me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one.
Well, the original is not. It's Don't Marry Her, Have Me or something. Yeah,
Right.
Don't Marry Her, Have Me. It's not Have Me.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Right. Yeah.
It's a bad word.
Okay.
Don't marry her, me.
Yeah. You can say if you want.
It's the F word. It's the F word, okay?
Yeah.
It's the F bomb.
Yeah.
It's a very naughty song. Beautiful South, they're fun because they always are a bit cheeky.
Yeah.
So the radio edit, Don't Marry Her, Have Me. Someone, not me, on Radio Cumbria accidentally played out the non-radio edit. And I think they went to the bathroom or something 'cause they had no idea. And the phones were flying.
my
the
God.
phones were flashing up. And it was Don't Marry Her, me.
Wow.
Yeah. On Radio Cumbria. But she's still got her job. People tend to find it funny.
People make mistakes. It's not
People
that,
make
it's
mistakes.
not that
Oh,
bad.
she didn't deliberately play out the
No.
wrong version.
You'd have got
but
some
it's-
complaints, but
It's easily done.
yeah.
I played the Who Are You? And he says, Who the F are you?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. I played that and went, and someone texted in, do you know this isn't the radio edit? Haha.
So you don't have to run songs, but someone doesn't check them for you?
This was a long time ago. Now we're a lot more stringent.
Right.
I'd be better now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just forgot. Isn't that awful? It's a great song.
It's not that bad.
It is pretty bad. I mean, that's a naughty word. That's a naughty word on the BBC.
It's just a song.
Yeah. If there was wee ones listening, I'd be mortified.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If we're in the car or something.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yes.
But they start singing it. Where did you hear that? BBC Radio Cumbria? Really?
Yeah, exactly. So, gotta
But-
be responsible and double check.
So, have you got any plans for other jobs that you'd like, or any other positions that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I love my job. I love the afternoon slot. The breakfast show is kind of, people look at it, the breakfast show is
Which is the most popular one?
the holy grail, yeah. Most listeners, people tuning in when they go to work,
Yeah,
when they get up.
school run and all that.
But I don't like early mornings. I kind of hate getting up early.
You probably wouldn't be as...
That'd be disaster.
Yeah. It's not for you then, is it?
It's just not for me. Like,
You'd probably do an evening one then,
yeah, late night. I'd like to do like a late night talk show.
because you'd have a bit more freedom then, I suppose. Play a bit more random stuff.
Yeah, maybe some late night sort of soul with a gravelly voiced co-presenter.
Get some requests in and stuff from people.
Yeah,
People ringing in.
just like smoking.
Yeah.
I don't even smoke, but I would if it was late
Some
night.
cigars.
Yeah, just like suddenly kind of talk, sounding like Iggy Pop.
Be worth it.
Yeah, I think so. And I do like, we've been talking about talk radio in America. I'd like to do
Yeah.
something like that one day, and with this accent, they just like British people. So
They're just fascinated by it, aren't
they
they?
think they think we're posh and clever and funny.
Yeah,
just because we talk like this.
They'd be asking, "Are you from Australia?"
Yeah. Well, they love Scottish people.
They do.
And
Billy Connolly's done a lot for you guys over the years, hasn't he?
He really has. And everyone in America has like a granny from Scotland.
Of course.
Yeah.
Who's about 4 foot tall.
Yeah. My granny's from there, Scotland. I went to America last year for the election.
Oh, cool.
And that was awesome.
Just for your own.
Yeah,
you just wanted to be there.
Just wanted to be there for a historic moment. But they made me. Obviously, the BBC got their money's worth, and I had to talk on the breakfast show. So I was like, yeah, call me. I'll be in America, but call me.
Oh, so you called in while you were out there?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But it was the time difference. It was about 4 in the morning in America.
God. Right.
And I was very drunk.
Brilliant.
So Trump had just taken it, and they call it Mike Zeller, the breakfast fella. He called me, and I'm in a bar in New York. I hadn't paid for one drink, so I sound like this. And
Are you with some friends?
Nope, just me. I was just by myself in an Irish bar in New York, Times Square. The guy was obviously a Democrat, so he was pouring whiskey, drinking it, and then I was live on Radio Cumbria. I couldn't bring myself to listen to it back until recently. And I'm so drunk. I'm like, the Donald's done it. I'm trying to be like a journal. I'm like, hi, Mike. Yes, I'm live in New York, and the Donald's done it. Shots. You can hear in the background. Shots. And I just remember, and I just remember Mike being like wrapping up the interview. And that's Caroline Robertson, who's in America.
Fade her down.
Yeah. Oh man, so drunk on the wireless. That's pretty bad.
Wow. Oh, the wireless. I've not heard it called that for a while.
Yeah.
It used to be the thing.
The best.
It used to be the only way to get, other than, well, I suppose before TV, yeah, radio, that was it.
All the big moments on radio. All, like, declarations of war.
Yeah,
and,
the updates on the war. Like, whole families gathered on the radio to see if someone, like, the next town had been bombed or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the radio. Yeah.
Can't imagine that.
It's still a bit like that. And radio is immediate.
Yeah.
So if something happens, you can say it.
Minute.
It's up to the minute. Whereas TV, it's like if someone died or they have to get a package and obituary.
Yeah.
Whereas radio is immediate information. That's the kind of what we win, how we win.
Yeah.
Yeah, people turn on the radio in a breaking news situation.
Yeah, like the other medium that's going is like magazines, printed.
Yeah.
Because of digital.
Yeah.
It's like you just. I suppose some are adapting by doing a digital version.
I was going to say, like,
which you can
you can get you can get news instantly now on the internet.
Yeah, I like it like the LA Times and
Yeah.
New York Times and all that, because the thought of going to a shop to buy a physical, like a magazine.
Yeah.
Like I used to go by Krang and.
Oh yeah.
NME and.
NME cringe.
All sorts of
Yeah,
stuff,
I used to
but
get
it's
that.
just like now it's anything you read's out of date.
Yes.
It's
I'd like
just-
to have a physical newspaper on a train journey, say, but yeah.
Like
you could
I got a Kindle because I used to read books, but I preferred a Kindle because you could have 3 or 4 on a
Yeah.
Kindle. You can have as many as you want, but like I don't know, I just prefer. Some people will not move from books.
I'm a bit old
physical
school,
like,
yeah.
act of turning a page, which I kind of get, but I also they're just so convenient. I just went to a Kindle.
It's very like if you're going on holiday. I like a physical book, but as we say, instant news online. Just got to be careful of the sources because some will break news too early. They'll get it wrong. I mean, we saw that with Tom Petty.
Oh yeah.
Last week, I mean, it was kind of announced too early almost, and then it was
So where
retracted.
people weren't sure.
Yeah, it was
but
all
then it turns out that it
horrible.
was true. And it's like,
Yeah, it was awful, and so yeah, BBC. Our motto is we might not be first, but we're always
accurate.
correct. That's our thing. So we actually don't rush to break stuff. We'll let Sky do it first because we're going to absolutely
They
right.
can make the monumental fuck ups online.
They can do that, and we'll get it right maybe 3 minutes later.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
true.
think that's kind
Some
of
of
our
the
thing.
presenters on Sky are a bit aggressive, I've noticed. Some of their questioning, I've noticed some people... There was one when the election was going on where there was people actually... I can't remember her name. There was people shouting abuse at her from behind in the street while she was trying to... Because she'd done an interview where she was horrible to someone. Like the question... Obviously, she was being fed the questions.
Right.
But just the way she was just constantly... I can't even remember who it was, but they were very aggressive and not letting them answer properly.
Right, okay.
I know that sometimes politicians don't answer properly. They answer a question with a question, or they just keep saying the same thing over again about what you ask them. But she was just non-stop, and these people, you could hear them, and they were swearing. That was the thing. You could hear it on air, live.
No.
I was thinking, that's a bit of a pitfall of being that at the forefront.
It's absolutely, and
You
it's
don't know what can happen.
live TV. You just got to apologise for the bad language. But
Whereas the Beeb can sit back and go, right, let's not do that. Let's do this.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, or people just say arsehole on the radio. But no, that's really interesting. I like the more chilled approach. So like Jeremy Paxman comes in for a lot of slack for just being like hounding. He's like a Rottweiler.
Yeah,
but
it
you're
depends
right.
who it is. It depends who they're interviewing, because sometimes that person, you want to see them squirm.
Definitely, and they're not giving you an answer as you say. Or politicians, they say parrot fashion. They've learned to think that's their answer.
They've got like this one answer
like a
that they pretty much use for every question.
Yeah.
Like Piers Morgan.
Piers.
I mean, I don't hate him. I can understand why people hate him.
Likeable, endearing Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does depend who he's talking to. He does like try and get an answer out of them.
He's very popular.
It's like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you this, and the politicians are the worst.
I prefer that. I mean, I like Louis Theroux. I think he's an excellent interviewer because he is your friend and he's very charming. And then he'll.
But are you talking about the documentaries that he does?
I love them all. I like everything he does. But
his documentaries are fascinating.
The stuff that people reveal to open up to Louis about, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's
but
not.
He puts the work in though to get it out of them.
He does, but he's not. He doesn't hound them. Like he's not mean. He's never mean. He normally makes friends.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very relaxed approach to.
Which I like. I like that.
Because he does have an agenda when he goes there.
Oh yeah.
But it's like they forget that by the way that he talks to them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is the skill.
I like that.
I suppose you'd have to do that sometimes. You don't want to be too eager.
Too eager, too aggressive. It just doesn't.
Too much coffee.
You just don't get the result you want if you're like that.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're more. So why do you believe this? Yeah, it surprises people.
But yeah, like. You've obviously learnt a lot on the job, I guess, as you've
Big
gone.
time.
But it's a good job you had those earlier jobs to prepare you for when you got to the BBC.
Yeah. But I've learnt a lot, and you do learn. I'm learning every day.
That's true,
I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes I leave my mic up. That's always a classic. Yeah. Gotta make sure the mic's down, man. But the worst time was really early starting out. Was I left the mic up and I was talking to the weatherman. I was like. So the weatherman's coming on later, but I left my mic up. So like, and he's Scottish, and when two Scottish people meet, they like go really Scottish. So I was like, "Aye, right, Paul, I'm going to come to you in about 2 minutes." And he was like, "Aye, nice one, Caroline, yeah." And then my producer was like buzzing, "You're on air, we can hear this." But at least it was like we weren't swearing.
Yeah,
it was
that
just
could have been a lot worse.
Very Scottish people, and
if you hated each other.
So I'm always as soon as I enter the studio, I'm pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
Because you never know when there's a mic up or something's being recorded.
That's true.
You never know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that on TV as well.
Oh my goodness.
People
Politicians.
lost their job, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes they just get sacked for having an opinion, though. It's not always terrible. Which is like, you have an opinion? You're supposed to be impartial.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand the whole, you have to be impartial. Why can't you have an opinion? Why is it so bad to have an opinion?
I think there's becoming a bit of a backlash to all that kind of stuff, and people are being more open nowadays and saying how they feel.
Being too PC. I think it's part of that. I think.
Yeah. Well, the difference is BBC. We are like public service. We're not there to. No one cares about.
No,
our
you shouldn't be
opinion.
pushing your opinions on people.
We're not there. We're there to deliver.
If someone
news.
talks about something, if they ask you for your opinion, you should be allowed to give it. You should. You go, no, I don't have an opinion on that. Really?
But it's more because we're delivering the news. People just want to hear us say what's news. They're not like, I don't care what Caroline thinks about that.
I didn't mean the BBC in particular. I just meant like in mainstream media. Just it's very all this like it's all too packaged and cut up in bits.
I hear you.
Nothing's in depth.
Yeah.
Nothing's like go a bit deep into things.
That is so true.
Which is why I like podcasts.
Yeah.
But the BBC though is, I mean. The BBC. How long has the BBC been going?
The BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Not that I think you should be a historian of the BBC because you work for them. But
oh no!
Put you on the spot.
Totally put me on the spot.
But I mean, it's like
it feels like it's been around since year dot, doesn't it? It is an institution, and what's really funny is some people hate it. I'm very aware people loathe it, and other people adore it. Like it's really funny. It's very divisive, kind of like the NHS and like a lot of British thing is like people love it or hate it, and there's been a lot of. Well, like the gender pay gap's been our latest scandal, and the BBC, they've got very loyal fans, and other people hate it. Not worth the licence fee.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. What reason now have they got to pay a female less than a male? What?
Well, I mean,
unless they're working less hours or doing something less.
Well, equal pay for equal work. It's not rocket science, is it? But
no,
there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I ain't paid the same as Chris Evans, but that's because.
Well, yeah, but if you were doing,
if you were
working on the same radio station and you had a similar show that had similar figures, then you should get paid the same. Don't you agree?
That would be nice. he's on a nice, tasty package. Yeah, that's a big one, though. I mean, we feel very dissociated from sort of the big London BBC sorts up in Cumbria.
The gap's obviously getting less. But there shouldn't really be a gap now.
No, it is absurd. It is
that's just the same as paying someone less because they're black.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It's absurd. I mean, there's lots of debates and like things where Alex Jones and Matt Baker in the one show.
Oh yeah.
But then but Matt Baker does Countryfile, and it was his whole BBC pay, so he does a bunch of other stuff, whereas Alex kind of just does the one show. So I think it was more. It's quite complex.
It is.
I'm going to stay out of it. Cause
it's probably best to stay out of it. Well, hopefully, eventually, there won't be a gap.
Yes!
There doesn't need to be.
Equal pay for equal work. That's just basic.
Exactly. That's what it should be. I get why there has been a gap. That's just the way it was. But in this day and age, it should be. It's moving on.
It's moving on. I mean, yeah, it does seem a little absurd. Yeah, but it's a complex one. I think it is. And I'm not. Yeah, I don't do it for the money.
No,
so
you do it for the love of it.
I do it for the love of it.
Exactly, that's the right reason to do it. Have you had any? What was it? So before you were? You mentioned Sports Direct.
Sports Direct.
Have you had any other jobs?
Earning the big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I worked at a great wee pub in Carlisle. I was an excellent barmaid.
Wow.
Before that, I used to sell shoes. At a shoe shop.
No.
Yeah, you heard of them? Shoe shops.
I've been there a few times.
I wanted to do before radio. I did that at uni, like I said, the student show. I wanted to go into politics. I'm so glad that didn't happen. Now I would never ever consider a job.
So you wanted to do politics before you had any ambitions of like radio or media or anything?
I was really into politics. Still am. Like, I went I like politics. I'm really fascinated by it. I wanted to do that or lecturing. I studied.
So you could have a politics podcast.
That would be sweet. That would be awesome. Get some politicians on.
Yeah, because you must have amassed some contacts now in your job. That's the reason I was able to do this, because of the band. I had accumulated quite a few contacts.
That's pretty sweet.
Various jobs in the industry, who I never get to talk to, but now I have. So
yeah.
Let's get the old Rolodex out and contact them.
Yeah, I guess okay. It's good for like networking and contacts. Yeah, definitely. But a political show, that would be interesting.
If that's what you're into,
and
you could combine your two favourite things:
politics and
talking.
Broadcasting. Have a political debate and then play a bit of Kanye West. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Well, he might stand for president in 2020. I
would not be surprised if he did that.
Yeah, he said he would.
And now he could probably do it.
Can you imagine First Lady Kim Kardashian?
Oh no, I hadn't thought of that.
Can you imagine?
It'd be bad enough having him as president.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
He said he might stand. There's someone else who else said they were going to stand. It was someone really funny.
Well, to be honest, anybody could do it now.
Yeah. It was a rocker. I'm sure it was a rocker. Who was it? Anyway, a few people have thrown their hat into the ring. But
the doors are wide open now.
Yeah.
I'd rather anybody than him now.
we can't do it because we're not American.
No.
You have to be American.
We've got enough of our own problems.
That's it. Like, I wouldn't want to go into politics now. It's too stressful. It's too stressful.
There's too many things going on.
Yeah.
It's too... Like, Brexit could go on for years. It's just like, it's not...
yeah,
probably. I don't feel like we...
Probably
like
years.
Theresa May is taking her time.
It's going to take ages. It's not easy.
She keeps going for these conferences and these talks, and then she come out and you go, yeah, but what have we done? And like, we haven't really done anything.
It makes me feel really stupid because I struggle to understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same.
We're all like in a state of confusion.
Yeah, but like, looking at her, so is she.
I think no one knows what's happening.
She just doesn't fill me full of confidence as our leader. I don't feel she's like
as our leader.
She doesn't come across as a very confident person. Or charismatic.
That's interesting because we're talking about this. Like, do you need to be charismatic to be a politician?
No, you don't. But just like in terms of getting the job done and making progress and like taking the control of situations, she doesn't seem like that kind of person. No. She seems like she would go into like these conferences with these leaders of other countries and just sort of sit, and not say much, and not like no, I disagree. I think we should do this. I can't imagine doing that. I saw
a great Canadian stand-up the other day, and he was saying how he was like, you guys, you love our guy because he looks like Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. Everyone loves, but I was like, you don't need to be good looking and charismatic to be a politician, surely.
No.
But they say, what is it? They say it's show business for ugly people, politics. Yeah. So in that sense, I always thought, I'm going to do it, but no. I'd rather interview the politicians.
It's changed a lot in the last few years, hasn't it? There's a bit more of a minefield.
Yeah. Like I'm happier being on this side interviewing politicians, holding them to account.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be one though. No. It's a horrible, thankless job, I think.
No, especially with the expenses.
Oh my goodness.
And all that. They're very under scrutiny these days, aren't they?
I'd have to declare all my free Jaffa cakes and be a nightmare.
Did you say Jaffa cakes? Say hobnobs immediately.
Not again! Other biscuits are available. I'll eat them all, it's fine. Yeah.
You never know, you might get a subscription to Jaffa Cakes now because of this.
That's the dream. That's all I've ever wanted.
Say, cakes made of Jaffa.
Those orangey, tangy, biscuity things? Biscuit or cake? Oh, don't start that. They're cakes. It's in the name.
That's true. Yeah, it is.
It's in the name. They're cakes.
But they're sold as biscuits. They're packaged as biscuits. They're sold next to biscuits.
I mean, this is the pressing issue. These are the big...
This is really what I got you on here to talk about.
This is the big stuff right now.
But it's important.
Very important.
If you were a politician, that should be one of your on your agenda, is to sort out the categorising of biscuits and cakes.
That would be my
defined.
Election promise. Yeah.
You'd probably win off of that because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah. I bet I'd get a few votes.
What do we want? Biscuits now. Biscuits for all.
I'm going to Google that now. What is a Jaffa cake?
Oh, what is a cake?
What is a biscuit? Don't leave us hanging, yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. Jaffa cakes are biscuit-sized cakes.
Oh, come on. That is a cop-out right there.
So the cakes, then?
Biscuit-sized cakes.
Yeah, but isn't a biscuit supposed to be like crunchy?
Oh, the BBC's done an article on this.
Wow.
Cake
Again, I told you the pressing issues. We tackle them.
Cake or biscuit? Why Jaffa cakes excite philosophers?
This is excellent.
This is podcast gold.
I also did a search for who's going to run for president next time.
Anyone else funny? There was someone else.
Well, yeah, there was no rockers, but there was The Rock, apparently. and Chris Rock.
Get your rocks out.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes,
I would vote for those over Trump any day.
That's true. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he was going to stand.
Yeah, I think he'd do a good job.
Yeah.
He'd do better than Trump, I think.
He's a big fella.
Yeah, I was watching a film with him last night randomly, that was randomly on that I'd never heard of, called Central Intelligence Extracurriculum or something it was called.
That's new-ish.
Is it?
It's meant to be pretty funny.
With Kevin Hart in it.
Yeah.
Well, I only saw the first half an hour. It was pretty funny.
It sounds bad.
Yeah,
it sounds really bad.
It was one of those ones where it's so bad it's good.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
One of those.
I do like wrestling.
Do you? Like
I
WWE?
Do. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
I used to. I prefer UFC.
Yeah, okay.
I've moved over.
Are you a Conor McGregor fan?
Yes, I like Conor McGregor.
I like him too.
There's nothing to...
I like ridiculous people.
He has been able to back up everything all his talk. He's backed it up. I know he lost the boxing match, but he's not a boxer, so I think he did quite well considering.
He did do well.
He won quite a few of them rounds against arguably the best boxer
think
in the world ever.
We all know who won, and it was both of them with millions of pounds in the bank.
It went the way I thought it was going to go, because he's like Mayweather sussed him out for a while, didn't take too much damage, and then just outboxed him in the end.
And they would never do it the other way around.
He would. Mayweather would never stand a chance.
No way.
He was just there's too much involved in MMA for him to cope with.
I watched it in the queue for airport security because I was flying to Barcelona that morning really early, so I was watching it on my phone and they were like, "Can you please put your bags in?" I was like, one second, let me just watch this. I've got some money on this. I like ridiculous people, and as in like eccentric, weird people, and that is Conor McGregor. He's ridiculous and he's awesome and just insane, but the money is quite grotesque, I think. The money made.
But that boxing match is probably the biggest money maker.
They could both retire.
Yeah,
and that'd be sweet.
I think it was.
I'd get beaten up if I could retire on all that money. Actually, I'd gladly do that.
100 million in the
bank.
Not a problem. For one good roughing up. It'd be worth it.
Not a problem. I'd gladly do that.
Break my nose. Go for it. I'll just get a new one.
Just gonna buy it. Yeah, just gonna buy a new nose. Yeah.
No, I like. So you still watch WWE then?
Now and then.
Yeah.
Now and then. And there's quite good wrestling.
The
there's a good wrestling scene in Cumbria actually, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, Target Wrestling.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
You've been to watch some of their events?
I have.
Those guys are good. They're good at like marketing, and I see the flyers up and I see their stuff on social media, and like they're always busy.
They're great.
As an independent wrestling promotion, I think they're doing really well.
Yeah.
And they get some big names in as well.
Super names.
I was like, wow.
It's one of my fantasies to be a wrestler for a day.
A diva.
Is that what they're called?
I think that's what they call the female ones.
The lady wrestlers are divas. Okay, yeah. Well, that's not a problem. But I
kind of already am.
Yeah, I would. It's like I think everyone has a little. You kind of want to do that. It's a fun an alter ego. You know, it'd be a good laugh. And I'd want to be one of the baddies. And
of course.
Oh, it'd be ace.
You want to get someone over the head with those chairs.
Yes. I think I'd wear like a mask and.
Gotta be done.
Yeah.
Someone like half reveal. Who is she?
Yeah. Disappointment. The big reveal. Yeah, so a bit of that.
That'd be good.
I wonder if I could do that under the BBC guys, maybe.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Because I when Brock Lesnar went from WWE to UFC, I kind of went with him. Never went back.
Okay.
Because I started watching UFC a little bit before that, but it wasn't when he went over. Then I started watching them all.
Nice.
And I've just been. That's what I do now.
Sweet.
But it's become one of the biggest sports in the world in the space of 12 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
No one really heard of it. I remember watching it in like 2005, I think, on some weird sports channel at my friend's house. Just going, what is this? Because you see cage fighting and people just think, oh, that's just barbaric. But then when I saw the training that I did for it, and it's like jiu-jitsu, karate, boxing, wrestling, everything. You've got to be good at all of them.
Yes. You have to be very fit.
Yeah, you can't. It's not just a case of going and have a fight. It's like you've got to know how to fight.
Yeah.
It's like when you see people in the street and they think, yeah, I can fight. Really?
No.
Can you really fight? Have you had any training? No. So how do you think? What makes you think that you could take that guy who has? You might be bigger than him, but if he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, then you don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
People just, especially when you add alcohol into the equation.
Well, you know, I was out last night, and
did you see some things?
I saw some things, man. Like, I saw some things. You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
You had to be there, man.
It was, it was eye-opening. I don't know, was it payday yesterday or something?
No, I don't think so. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it was full on last night.
I think payday was about a week ago. So maybe they were saving it up for.
Possibly. No, they know how to party, but
Botchergate.
Botchergate.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was
the street
wild.
that's so bad they have to close off both ends.
Well, that's what I enjoy when they pedestrianise it.
When they did that, I was like, this is getting real.
I'd like to appear on Booze Britain or something. Can you imagine that? Boozed Up Britain, is that a thing?
Is it still a thing?
Yeah,
it was a thing.
Yeah, it is.
I
once saw somebody just not get like badly run over, but a car just some guy was just walking. I think the person was drunk who the car hit, but the person driving was drunk as well.
Oh no! This is.
I think it was someone who's doing dodgy, pizza delivery, but they're not really a pizza delivery guy.
Oh no!
He just pulled up, and this guy just went. Poof, he just went. And it was just, I was just like, did I just see that? The guy just got up and walked off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
And the guy who was in the car just got out of the car, went straight to his boot, and got some pizzas out. Okay. I didn't run anybody over. What are you talking about?
That's marvellous. Yeah, and the guy.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank goodness he was very drunk, so didn't feel it.
Soon after that, they closed the street off after 9 p.m.
It is.
Good move.
It's pedestrianised now, which is
but
good.
Sometimes when you walk down that street, it's like a scene from Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen some wonderful things. Well, I grew up in Scotland, so that's no big deal. I remember walking past a pub in Aberdeen, and a man came out and profusely and violently vomited, and then went back in the pub. He was like, there we go, smashing. Went round two.
Better?
Yeah,
Better.
Absolutely. Well, I love Cumbria is the best place in the world. It's so beautiful, but I'm a big fan of.
Is.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. But I like Glasgow as well. Glasgow's a great city.
Oh, Glasgow. I like Edinburgh as well.
Edinburgh's lovely.
I like them both.
Yeah, I lived there 4 years.
Go there regularly. Where are you from?
So I'm from Aberdeen.
Right.
But I went to University of Edinburgh.
Okay.
And then moved to Carlisle.
Okay. What year did you move to Carlisle?
So I graduated in 2010. So, but yeah, like 2011.
Yeah. 6 years ago.
I know. I feel like an honorary Cumbrian. I do. I really do. And I hope that's allowed. I love it. I absolutely love it. And how it pains me and shames me that I've only kind of just got into fell walking recently.
About time.
Yes, and I feel like Wainwright. I love it. Like I absolutely love it. And although I found my buddy was taking me, and he had like a sheet of the fells, and you tick off the ones that you've done. You build up to like Scawfell Pike, and then you do the little ones. And so I've done a few of the wee ones, the wee baby ones, but you got to build up to the big fellas. I'm not
for
quite
our
there
international listeners and viewers. The mountains in Cumbria are known as fells. I don't actually know why that is, but.
Fells, yeah, they're just fells.
And,
fell walking.
What's his name? Fall off them all the time. What happened? I fell.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mr. Wainwright.
Wainwright,
What's his first name?
Alfred?
Alfred Wainwright.
He did them
Look him
all.
up. He did them all, so that's why they're called the
Yeah.
fells. So there's 216 or
Something
something
like that.
fells.
Yeah.
I think I must have done about 25.
Do
But
you
I'm working
reckon?
my way through them.
Yeah.
I keep doing the same ones though because I like them.
You like them? You like the views?
Sometimes it's hard work, but when you get, I get a good day, when you get to the top, the views are just like,
Oh, amazing.
like we live in a beautiful world, don't we?
We really do.
It's like
Yeah.
it's hard not to take for granted when you live here though, and when you're busy to like get there.
That is so true. And I think I was thinking, I've got to get out more to the fells because I'm just not doing it. And
Yeah.
but when you live here, you're absolutely right. It's like people in London don't do tourist things. They don't go to the Tower of London. No,
No.
if you live in London, you don't do any of that.
Yeah,
But
well, if you don't
yeah.
from London, you go do that first.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just get out of the way. And
Whereas, yeah, we've got it on our doorsteps, so I definitely appreciate that more
yeah,
living
we
here.
get people from all over the world.
Oh,
to
yeah.
visit. And we've just been added as to the 7. What is it? That category of the wonders of the world.
Yes.
The heritage thing.
The heritage site.
National Heritage Site.
National
That's
heritage.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
there's a bit of a debate about that because is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because are there too many people going to come, so it's going to harm the environment
That's
through
right, yeah.
wear and tear and all that? But at the same time, more people means more money into the economy
Yeah.
for the local area. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I think most people were celebrating, but you're right. It's a contentious issue, and there are pros and cons.
Yeah,
But it's like a natural beauty spot.
certainly is. Well, it's. I think it's overall. I think it's a good thing
Yeah.
that it's put us more on the map.
Yeah, definitely.
Because certainly, like people from London, they think it goes like you go north, you go Birmingham, then you go like Manchester, then you go Scotland.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're just the north.
Yeah.
Like it's just like Winterfell or
People from London class Birmingham as the north.
Yeah, yeah. They think they were just all like wildlings
Yeah.
from Game of Thrones. Like they did.
We all live in like one house in the middle of a field, surrounded by sheep.
Yeah, yeah. Have you got electricity
Yeah.
yet? Have they invented the wheel there?
You still on dial-up?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
To be fair, Cumbria is like one of the some parts of it were like experimental, the best first places for fibre broadband.
Amazing.
Yeah. Some aren't.
Yes.
But we're always the experiment. We're an experiment for a lot of things like aircraft and military flights around
Yeah.
here. You just go, ooh, was that an F-16?
Yeah, yeah. You like your aircrafts?
I know some of them, but
I don't
just
really know what that means.
sometimes they're just like, like the military ones that you think they're not just like
Yeah.
recreational planes. You go, ooh. Because we're just so big and open, they just practice. They just go around.
Yeah.
If you crash land, it doesn't matter.
I saw one the other day as I was driving home from work. You know, on the stretch of motorway from Kendal to like Shap or T-Bay.
Up the M6.
Yeah, going
Yeah.
northbound. And then you go kind of just through in between the
Oh,
mountains,
yeah,
don't you?
Yeah.
On the way back,
I think they like to go through the mountains.
yeah,
don't
they do. There was a giant plane almost at road level. I was like, whoa. Oh. Nearly crashed again.
Amazing, amazing. But I like, yeah, and I love London. It's the big city, and who knows if I'd ever did national radio, but I love it here so much. And London's good, but it's the smog. I like the clean air here. And my older sister lives in London, and she's always loving it up here. Oh, it's so clean and fresh. Like, it's proper Dickensian London.
Classic people from London coming and sucking an exhaust.
Yeah. But we do get to brag about our nice clean air and our
Yeah.
wonderful fells.
It's very clean.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like going to a city, but no, I wouldn't want to live there.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like if people like live in LA, like the traffic.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the pictures of the traffic in LA? They're like rush hour.
That's just stressing me
It's like
out thinking about it.
A million people in cars
No.
as out of their whatever their main freeway is out the city, and it's just like at night time when it's dusk and all the lights.
Oh,
It's as far as you
man.
can see.
We've got like how many lanes?
5 lanes
Oh,
on each
my
side. It's
goodness.
just like backed up, and it's just like
You need your
There's too many
podcasts
people.
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's so popular. There's like 7 million people or something in
It's too stressful.
just in California.
And I get road rage, so I can't do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm a
it's
pretty
just
easygoing person. Like I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I'd stress out. I have a significant birthday next year, and okay, can you guess? You can probably guess which one it is. I'm not 40,
Okay, right, yeah.
so it's the other one. I was thinking of doing Route 66.
Oh wow.
Yeah, hiring a wee motor, like Hunter S. Thompson, and just doing that. Although I'm a bit scared of the motorways.
Yeah, I'd do it.
It'd be fun though, huh? Like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, just do it
Yeah.
on your own.
Yes.
So you'd have to be Thelma or Louise.
I'll be them both. I'll be them both. And I'll be Brad
Switching
Pitt.
sides.
I'll be them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just don't
the plan.
drive off a cliff. You
No,
don't need to do
yeah. No need for that. Can I find a Brad Pitt? That'd be sweet.
that. Yeah.
But
true.
yeah, so that's the plan. I like doing a little bit of that. It might be kind of fun.
I think you should do it.
Yeah.
What have we got to lose?
Stay in some dodgy motels.
It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
I mean, that route's pretty well beaten now.
Yeah.
Because lots of people do it, so I don't think wouldn't be as daunting as if it was like if there's nothing for
Yeah,
miles.
yeah.
There's probably a set things you can do along the way.
I don't know how old you are, Mark. Are you before or after that?
I'm older than you.
No, are you? God, that's annoying. If you look younger,
Let's play his favourite game.
you look younger than me, which is irritating.
What? So you're coming up 30?
This is browbeaten by the BBC and local radio for. Everyone says I sound like I got the job, by the way, because my boss the guy who hired me didn't know what I looked like, and he thought I was about 45. I was like, so I've got aged vocal cords, which is good.
So you're coming up 30.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm 36.
What? Look at 12. He looks like
I think that's a compliment.
he looks like blooming Justin Bieber if he was a rocker.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so no, but for radio, actually, it's good that you sound like I sound like this, because you wouldn't want someone who sounds very, very young for local radio.
Certainly not for your demographic.
Exactly. So it's good that I sound old, but yeah, everyone thought I was about a 45-year-old lady. And I always get this, when I meet folk, they'll go like, I thought you were blonde. Sorry to disappoint again.
You sound blonde.
You sound blonde.
What does that mean?
That's weird.
I've been told, I thought you'd be blonde and tall.
That's
Wrong.
weird. That is, to be fair.
What would it be if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, you don't look as old as you sound"?
There is that though.
Yeah.
Have you never had that though, where you've heard someone on the radio and you build up an image in your head of what they look like?
Totally.
When you see them, you go, "That's not what I thought they would look like."
Yeah.
But why? Where's that image come from?
Yeah.
Like when Chris Moyle's show, you remember Comedy Dave?
Comedy Dave.
He's got a very weird voice, and I can't remember what it was, what my image of him was. But I was like, "That's not. I wouldn't accept that. That's not him.
Totally.
He does not look like that."
You get that all the time.
Why would I know what he looks like? I've never seen him before.
Yeah. When the voices don't match the face, that's always really
it's like,
interesting.
where does that image come from that your mind conjures up with what a sound should make something look like?
That is so true. And does someone sound attractive? That's always good. I'm always like,
Oh yeah.
I had a new boy in the travel bulletins the other day, and I was like, he sounds lovely.
He's got a fit voice.
He sounds gorgeous. So I was like, let's have a little Facebook stalk.
Facebook stalking.
I was like, okay, yeah. Or, no. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
People think you sound. But yeah, lots
your
of.
voice is your key commodity for you.
It is. It's the moneymaker. I've only I've only ever been off sick once, and I had tonsillitis.
Ah, right.
And it was the most ill I've ever been.
You must have been on air with a bit of a cold or a bit of a...
I was a bit gravelly, and I was like, this isn't good. And then it was, the voice went. I've
that's
never
the worst
lost
thing.
it.
If it's a bit like croaky and like, you excuse me.
Yeah.
But if it's gone, then what
It
can
was
you do?
gone. I mean, I would broadcast with my leg was falling off, no problem.
Yeah.
But my voice, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it was just the most
So do you take
ill.
a bit of extra care?
I was off the radio, I think, for about 3 days. That's
No, but I mean, in general, do you sort of...
Yeah, I do.
You're a bit precious about...
I'm a little precious. I mean, yeah. I mean,
You just don't want to get ill.
don't do honey and lemon every day, but in vocal warm-ups. But yeah, after the tonsillitis, it was so bad. Like, I'm scared of that again. It was so awful.
Yeah, I was a bit like
You ever
that.
had it?
I was a bit like, not tonsillitis, no. Touch wood.
Yeah.
I've had some bad throat things, but I was, especially with the band,
I
was quite cautious about it. When we went to see Annihilator, I met Jeff Waters, the singer, and he does the fist bumps. He doesn't shake hands because he doesn't like. Because he said because you don't know where people's hands have been. It's
That
just
sounds
true.
very snobby.
It does, but he just doesn't want to get ill. Like, he took a photo. He talked to us. He spent ages with us. He didn't have to. We went on their tour bus.
Did he have some hand sanitizer?
He probably did.
He smelt like talc when he gave me a hug. Yeah.
There's worse things to smell of. That's okay.
That's his job. He needs to not be ill. So
That's so true. That's totally fair.
I was a bit put out at first that he didn't want to shake my hand, but he did the fist bump. But then after a while, I kind of, not that I adopted that, but I was kind of a bit more cautious about what I did. I washed my hands a lot more.
And you were doing kind of really rocky stuff. I mean, how do you do the rock screams and then make sure your
I'm
voice
not so
isn't
much of a screamer,
mess
though.
the next day?
I'm more of, I try and sing, but
That's a good quote. I'm not much of a screamer
no.
from Mark.
Like,
I'm not.
edit
that.
No, I'm not really into that. All that. I don't know how people do that and like talk the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have I been in a pub that's been too loud, and you know you have to yell to hear each other?
You used to get that with the smoke when it used to be able to smoke in pubs. That was like
you
my
are
mum shouting at me the next day because she thought I'd been smoking. I just been to the pub.
All your clothes.
Reek.
It is funny now, isn't it, in 2017 to think back to that?
It was 2007, so it's 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And smoking ban came in.
It just seems so normal now to not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad it came in because I hate smoking, but there's a weird part of me that used to like the smell in pubs.
That is, I like
stale beer from the beer mats.
Yeah.
And the smoke that's like in the walls and on the ceiling.
A pub.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't know, there's something I like about
I kind of know what you mean, and I like a smoky, like dingy comedy club or like a jazz club.
Yeah.
Like it kind of added to the
club,
atmosphere.
yeah,
it has to be kind of smoky, but now,
No, what do they do now? They've got like smoke machines. Just to make it look like it used to.
They've got a bit of fragrance. They've got Febreze.
Or the cigarette.
You can still vape. It's all vaping.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, although that's getting banned in places. Some places.
Everything smells like strawberries.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but it is.
They say that there is some things that can be harmful for you if you have a lot of it. So for passive wise, not necessarily, but nobody knows.
But it's funny, isn't it? Like at the time, it was such big news, and now it just seems absurd to that people ever smoked in clubs. You just see them, they'll gladly go outside. It's no big deal.
But vapes just overtake. How many vape shops do you see in town? They're just everywhere.
I don't get it. I don't.
Well, people who smoke obviously have taken to it.
They love it. Well, my buddies who smoke now vape more than they smoked. That's not good.
But weren't you supposed to? Because obviously you can buy those things that you plug into it, where like have a high nicotine content, and you were supposed to gradually get less and less till there was no nicotine in it. But they've just most people I know full nicotine and just stayed like that. It's just like, well, you might as well smoke.
Exactly.
It's like a Diet Coke thing. It's like this is Diet Coke. You can have it instead of Coke, and then it reduces the sugar you're gonna have. It's like, I can have 3 instead.
Yeah. You're like, it's instead of 8 spoons of sugar per can, it's only got 4.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not so bad.
So I can have twice as much. Yay. No, absolutely.
Have you ever smoked?
Only like a dickhead at university socially, social smoking, but I'm very fortunate, and I hate triumphant non-smokers, can I say?
Yeah,
they're the worst.
Try and make people feel bad who do smoke.
You know what I mean? Like, if someone's trying to quit, good for you, because it's hard. And so people are like, I used to smoke, but I don't anymore. Shut up.
Oh, they always, I just gave it up like that,
Yeah.
Of course you did.
It was really easy for me. So no, I don't smoke. I never really have. But yeah, maybe a little bit when drinking at university. It's never really my thing, but I think I am one of those good people. I'm very lucky. I don't think I have an addictive personality.
Okay.
So it wasn't like
You've not been addicted to anything else then?
No, meth is a hell of a drug.
Like computer games or gambling or?
No. I have many vices, but addictions, I'm being very fortunate. No, I don't have a very addictive person. I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, well, maybe actually.
Because it can take over people's lives, can't
Addicted to radio.
Oh, well. That's not a bad addiction, is it?
It's not too bad. But no, smoking, no, never. I like a cigar. I like a cheeky cigar. I'll always have one on Hogmanay, which to translate is New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I like a cigar then.
So when did you develop the skill of being able to talk through, or not run out of things to say and, keep talking and, I don't know. Because it is a skill.
That. People always ask that.
Or is it just something that you just have? That lends itself to you think, I think I could do that job because I'm good at talking.
I'm good at talking, and also knowing when to shut the hell up.
Well, yeah, there's that side of it.
I'm like,
but in a conversational thing, there's always someone who's leading the conversation.
Yeah.
Who doesn't run out of things to say. Who's always got an opinion on something. And I think most conversations, because you could get a group of people where not much is said, but if that one person's introduced to the group, then the conversation just keeps going because that person is almost like the ringleader. They keep it going. I feel like that's kind of like what a radio person is. They've always got something to say.
Have to be a bit of an extrovert, You got to be. I wouldn't say life and soul of the party, but yeah, I'm probably an extrovert. Like I can talk. I like debating
and the art of conversation.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't know if I'm particularly great at it, but yes, so that you got your links, and it's been knowing when you've done a good link between the songs and when to shut up and play some music.
Yeah, because I think the art of conversation was being lost. I think with technology and everyone on their phones and tablets, and just you see people in cars or on trains, in restaurants, a whole table, and you look over and they're all on their phones.
Yeah.
And you just think,
I think
why have you come out? If you
my family, we always sat around the dinner table and had dinner. TV was never allowed,
Yeah.
so we had to be articulate and talk to one another, which I think is good. I've got 2 sisters. We're always chatting away. So I think
we're
that
all
is
guilty of that at some
important.
point, aren't we? The whole looking at your phone.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I'm getting better. I'm trying to.
Me
like,
too.
Sometimes I'll turn my phone off.
Yeah.
Or occasionally, I won't not bring my phone.
Do you feel
You feel lost. You
feel a
like,
bit
you keep checking
naked.
your phone even though you know it's not there.
Yeah, you feel a bit vulnerable and like, I don't know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Just be in the moment, live in the moment. But I'm that guy at dinner parties who will insist on talking about politics and religion. Like, I'm the worst.
Oh, okay.
My friends hate it.
Right.
Like, I will ruin nights. So I'll talk about stuff like that. People don't, no, Karen, don't do that. But I like to talk about stuff.
I like talking. I just like conversations in general.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, when I first discovered podcasts, I realised that I wasn't having those conversations with many people. Like the conversations that I'm listening to, I don't really. I realised I should be having, because there's lots of stuff that you could talk about with your so-called your close friends, but you're not.
Yeah.
Like, some of my friends just don't. They're just not that kind of they're not that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other friends have, because I've started talking to them more and said, let's not have our phones out.
Yeah.
They've gone, okay, and then they've realised, oh, it's actually, I'm glad you did that because we're talking more.
You're
Do you know what I
talking
mean?
about life, you're talking about the future, you're talking about the world.
Stuff that wouldn't get in because you'd be distracted by
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
And it's like a bit of a revelation, really.
Saying all this, I think doing the job I do, I also value silence
Right.
more, because I'm talking for 3 hours a day on the radio. So I also really enjoy being in my own company and being quiet in an evening. And people, like I said, I have to be an extrovert. Actually, I'm an extrovert, obviously, because I do a radio show, but I'm actually then not. After that, I kind of hate the sound of my own voice, and people are like, you must be a show off all the time. No, like, I quite like then being quite quiet and keep myself to myself in the
Do you ever
evenings.
sit in silence?
Yeah, loads.
I can't do that. I can't. I
Yeah.
hate silence. There has to be some sort of background noise, whether it's the TV or music
Okay.
or something.
I've normally got music on, but if I'm happy in silence, very happy.
I'm uncomfortable in silence. I'm like the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, it just freaks me out.
That's like my dad. He has to fill silences, just says nonsense.
I don't do it with conversation.
Like, he just fills. I can gladly sit with it and have like a golden silence, even with a buddy like you, Bezzy May. I don't need to talk. We don't need to talk.
I don't mind if you're with someone and if it's someone that you know, you can have
Yeah.
silences aren't awkward if you know them. But generally, if I'm on my own, I can't sit in silence. I have to be like the TV on or the radio or music or
Yeah.
something. I don't know why. It's just
Yeah, no, I get that background. But if I was reading, I probably would do that in silence.
that's true. Yeah, it's probably the only time.
Maybe some classical
Do
music.
you do a lot of reading?
I do read a lot. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask about, I ask most people, is listening to music. Has there ever been in a time in your life when you just used to listen to music and do nothing else?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you do it now, though?
I do. Yeah, now
'Cause
and
I
then. You don't?
Occasionally, like when a new album comes out, I'll make myself sit and listen to it. But when I was a teenager, I used to put music on, lie in my bed,
Yeah.
and look at the lyrics or whatever, and just have headphones on.
That's very. Yeah,
I
that's
used to do
true.
that all the time. But I never do that now because it's like a background. It's almost become a background thing in your life now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
no one really. I don't know if people don't value it the same, or life's just changed that much where you haven't got the time to sit and just listen to an album for an hour.
I like it. Yeah, and sometimes you'll get a special show with an artist got a new album out. They'll play it in its entirety.
Yeah.
And I'll make a
But
point.
sometimes I want to go back to an old album that I used to listen to
Yeah.
and just like think I haven't listened to that all the way through, or I haven't listened to it on its own
Listen
without
to it as a whole entity, like a thing.
like the artist meant it to be,
Mm-hmm.
without half listening,
Yeah.
like watching the news or reading something on my phone. Like I try. I haven't done it much recently, but it's
No, I know.
hard.
Now that you said that, I listened to Nirvana's In Utero in its entirety the other day, and I was like,
Classic.
"This is awesome."
So I listen to things in their entirety, but while I'm
Doing
driving
stuff.
or if I'm in the house, I'll have it on in the background,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's-
not really taking it in. But like, that's how I always used to do.
Are we truly listening?
Not unless you're not unless you're just listening to it,
Yeah.
taking it in, like listening to what am I listening to? What are the guitars doing? What are
Yeah.
the vocals saying? But you can't do that if you're doing the dishes or
Yeah.
tidying your house while it's in the
Yeah.
background.
Well, I do a bit of drums. I like
do you?
drums are my favorite instrument.
That's a point. Yeah,
I do listen to the drums.
when I was doing a bit of research, there's a clip of you on.
Oh no!
I think it's on the BBC website.
Yeah, doing Phil Collins.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
In
That's
the
a
air
good gig.
tonight.
It was like 3 minutes of you just sat there waiting for the.
That was super embarrassing.
All the other people are like doing all these parts. You're just there going.
Just waiting for it. Waiting for it.
Do you own a drum set?
That might be the most famous drum fill ever.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't have one. No, my neighbours would hate me more than they already do.
Enough.
So
Fair enough.
no, I'd go to like a warehouse to play. My buddy's a drummer, and he lets me go there. So yeah, you can bang
That's
it
a good
out.
point about that drum, Phil. That, apart from maybe Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, Dave Grohl. In terms of famous drum parts, that's a good question.
It's very unique. The beginning of Twisted Sister, as it We're Not Going to Take It. That drum, it starts off with the drums. It's a very specific drum roll that I always...
And I'll tell you what's a great drum part. It's really hard 'cause it's really simple. It's not simple, it's hard. Heart of Glass, Blondie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at the end, it's like 2 minutes almost of just him drumming and doing some fills.
Other ones, Paradise City.
Yeah.
That's a very specific drum beat. I remember doing that on pots and pans when I was about 10.
I think it's the best instrument in the world.
Yeah, I started off on drums.
Love it.
Cool. I am a wannabe drummer. I'm a failed drummer.
Really?
I
And
just
drummers are
couldn't do
always
it.
a bit weird.
I agree with that.
They're always, aren't they? They're always a bit weird.
I had lessons, but I couldn't. I had this guy before I even got to the drum kit where he was like saying, tap your left finger this beat, then add your other finger every other beat, then add a toe in on the third. I couldn't do that. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that complicated, but I just couldn't get it.
It's like that.
Yeah, patting your head and rubbing your stomach.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't. It was frustrating, and that's all I wanted to do. But then I tried the guitar, and I just got a lot quicker. So I was like, oh, okay. Didn't really want to be, but I'll give it a go.
You became a guitarist.
Yeah.
The guitar's cool. Like the cool guys play the guitar. The weirdos do the drums.
No, the weirdos do the bass.
I think the bassists are weird. Bassists are
You've seen those
famously
pictures
weird.
where it's like, how many chicks do the singer get? Then the guitarist, and the drummer, then there's the bass player on his own.
Yeah, you don't do the bass for the chicks. They
Yeah,
just,
there's like a photo, and everyone's in it. It's the bass player that was the one taking the photo.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a goalkeeper. He is the music equivalent of the goalkeeper, the bass player. Yeah.
And there's the other rating of how well you know a band if you know the name of the bass player.
That's
you're,
good.
You're a super fan if you know the name of the bass player.
Really?
Apparently.
Because people just don't know bass players.
Like John Deacon, if you know that level. Like some people will be a Queen fan, but if they don't know the name of the bass player, then you're not a real fan. Some people would say. I'm not saying that. That's my opinion.
I would say, is it Mike Dirnt from Green Day?
Yeah.
He's a bassist, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, I also play the trombone, so
Wow.
I didn't get laid a lot. So it's
I
like that.
expect you to say that.
I'd say it's probably worse than bass.
Trombone.
Trombone. Yeah, not
How on earth did you get to that?
Well, I was at school band and I auditioned. I wanted to play the oboe. I thought it was a little more majestic and feminine. And I went to the auditions and they said, "Nah, your mouth's too big." You do not tell like a 16-year-old insecure girl that your mouth is massive. You have to do brass, not woodwind.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happened, legit. So yeah, that made all the guys loved that at university.
Bit of therapy after that.
Yeah, the trombone chick. So I didn't do it for the dudes.
I tried all sorts. I remember trying all sorts of instruments at school, but nothing really.
Trombone's kind of cool now because of ska.
I was
like,
thought,
you can do a
that's
pretty
true.
sweet ska band. Yeah.
I thought the saxophone was quite cool.
Saxophone's cool.
But
Yeah.
very difficult to play.
Very hard. And that's woodwind. So like clarinetists can normally do it.
Power. I remember my friend just decided one day I want to play the saxophone, so he like hired one, and hadn't had any lessons, and like he was going on about it for weeks, and then we never saw him for a while. Then we went around to his house and thinking, "Oh, go on, play us something then." And he's like, I can't even blow into it."
Really? Yeah.
Well, I tried it and I could just do it straight away. It's just the way. It's like singing, where it's all where you like your diaphragm. Where you breathe from. He was doing it all wrong. He was like blowing all straight into his cheeks. And
Yeah.
Like, he just couldn't do it. His face was like going beetroot red. It's just going. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that was why I couldn't do it. But you figured it out. But it's just interesting.
Definitely, trombone's the same. Really, you gotta have really powerful lungs. So I've got
Yeah.
good lungs. See, don't smoke, kids.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
If you want to play a brass or woodwind instrument, don't smoke.
Yeah, I remember playing when I used to play football. You could tell the smokers within about 10 minutes. I was coughing and spluttering.
Absolutely.
But at half time, smoking a fag, just like. We're all there with our bananas and Jaffa cakes.
Jaffa cakes, halftime oranges.
Yeah, I don't like
you gotta
oranges.
have halftime oranges.
But there's always somebody, and then there's them with just nothing else, just fags.
Yeah, oh man.
Just a crafty fag.
Yeah, because I remember playing football when I was at school, when I was really young, just thinking, I'm not going to smoke.
Yeah.
It's not, I never saw the positives of it. I think most people start smoking when they're at school because it looks cool.
It looks cool.
To try and fit in with
and
the
now
cool
it's
kids.
it's not even cool now, is it?
But I'm
It's
still
not cool.
alarmed by how many young people are smoking. That doesn't seem to be going down. It seems to be the older people who are like
Do you think?
giving it up or doing it slightly less. But
I think
when
it's...
if I go past the school when it's kicking out time, you just see the young people, and I'm thinking, do they go home? Do their parents know that they smoke? I'm just wondering if
You
they
sound
still...
old there.
Oh,
That's
I am
you
old.
sounding- yeah.
I am old. And
'Cause
I'm proud to be
think,
old.
I don't think it's cool now. I think it's definitely not cool, and
I think the health things that are associated with it are coming
Yeah.
through a lot more now.
'Cause remember
Like
it-
those pictures on the packets are horrible.
they are grim.
When you go to a supermarket, and it's almost like shameful that the shutters that they have to put up, they can't show any.
Although some of them
packaging.
are better than others, so I'm like, can I take the one about the man's erectile dysfunction? 'Cause that's fine.
Yeah, you don't say the name of the cigarettes, you just go by what the picture is. I'll take lung cancer over there,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
Second row down.
But I ain't gonna get erectile dysfunction, so that's fine. Give me some more of that. Yeah, I don't want. But I think it's not cool. And remember when it was legal in adverts for smoking?
Back in
Like,
the day,
it was-
back in the
yeah.
day, right? Doctors used to recommend you smoked,
Yeah.
like in the 50s, before research,
This is news to me.
before anyone did any research on
Yeah.
anything.
And then one day they went, ooh. This is
One day
bad.
someone did some research and like had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
This is bad. Yeah.
But-
It's incredible.
But which is what amazes me that so many people still do it.
Yeah.
But everyone knows now how bad it is for you. But
Yeah.
people still, as many people are still starting it
But
at a young
yeah.
age.
People, yeah, that's true. People have, it's a small pleasure for some people.
So maybe that whole thing of wanting to look cool is still the reason. Because most people, I'd say 95% of people started when they're at school, like I said, to try and look cool, and then regret it when they get older, but can't stop.
Yeah. Yeah, no one in my family smoked. I think we had some pipes and cigars, but I went to a really posh school. I went to a posh girls' school, so there wasn't much smoking behind the bike sheds. We played hockey.
I thought posh schools, though, like those boarding schools, are they not where they rebel more because everything's so strict?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's when they leave, I
I
guess.
think I turned out okay, but yeah, possibly. A lot of people go a little wild if they went to a posh school, but yeah, no, I was all jolly hockey sticks and yeah, I did hockey.
Jolly hockey sticks.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, left defence.
Is that your position?
That was me. Yeah, yeah. Although I was really naughty, I once got sent off in like an all-girls
Wow.
hockey game
Jesus
for
Christ.
my language. There you go. I told you. Like
If
swearing.
that wasn't a sign you were destined for radio, I
I
don't know what it
know. Bad language, yelling, arsehole, and then got sent off. Yeah, that's awful, isn't it?
Sent off. That's I'd be proud of that.
Wow, it's bad sportsmanship, but it's bad.
He's competitive. It's another thing
Yeah.
that they're trying to phase out in schools.
Competitiveness, I know. Competitiveness is so healthy.
What is the like no winners and losers
Right.
for kids? I'm like, what?
Taking part medal.
Yeah.
Everyone's a winner when
I
you take
remember
part.
There was an article and someone shared a video. They talked to a kid, kind of about it, and they just said they introduced the concept to them about, we're going to play whatever it was, baseball, but there will be no winners and no losers. And the kid, who was probably about 7, just went, "What's the point?"
Yeah. What is the point?
What,
I took part. I loved competition. Loved it.
yeah.
And also to lose is a huge life lesson. You have to lose.
I think you learn
and
more
fail.
from losing and
Oh my
failing than you do
gosh.
from being successful. Because really, if you're successful, most of the time, you're not learning too much.
Oh
You
my
just happen
goodness.
to be doing it right.
Absolutely. To lose graciously is a big lesson.
Yeah. Maybe that's why some people grow up being bad losers, because they didn't do much of that when they were
Yeah.
younger. So they're not used to failing. So it's a big thing when they
Mm-hmm.
get older. Like if parents protect them from all that winning and
Definitely.
losing. What? I don't understand. What do you think is going to happen when they get older?
Yeah.
Because are they going to go through the rest of their life when they're old enough, not winning and losing at things?
So I do a bit of stand-up comedy.
Do you?
Yeah, I
Wow,
know. Which
I
is
didn't know
kinda,
that.
It's kind of, I know, because I'm really unfunny, which is always a shock.
How long
to
have you
people.
been, how long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing it. So I did it at university a lot, and then I've just got back into it because I missed it, and just like the radio took over a bit. So I've been gigging quite recently.
Whereabouts?
So I was in Glasgow last week,
Okay.
and then Newcastle before, and I've got one in Edinburgh coming up.
I did not know that.
But I did one in Windermere, and I have never bombed so hard
Ah.
in my life.
Yes, but in comedy, you've got to bomb
You know
have to
what?
bomb.
You learn so much more from the bad gigs than the good gigs.
That's true.
And like, it was great in Newcastle the other day. Same material, which is weird, but they hated me in Windermere. It just didn't happen for me. But I learned so much. It's horrible. It is lonely, and it's bad for the ego. But I was like, come on, well, let's get better.
Yeah,
Get better.
exactly.
Get funnier.
That's it. Some people will take that that kind of failure and rejection, and they can't get past it, and they just think, "Oh, that's it. I'm no good." But why can't you just be?
You
get
can
better?
be if you have a bad gig, you're allowed to be sad for half an hour, and then you have to get over it. You can be sad for a little bit and say these people don't get me, and I'm hilarious.
You just got to get over yourself.
Get over it. So yeah, I tried to get better and wrote better jokes, and
Cool.
But yeah, so I'm doing.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I looked at I looked at obviously like I do most guests. I went on your Facebook and looked at a few things, but you didn't seem to be promoting that you were doing stand up.
I just got back into it recently. There's a couple of pics of me on the mic.
Okay.
On the mic. I think there might be some really super cringy old videos somewhere. But that was like I said at uni. But what's funny is I was 18 when I did it then, and I was very unfunny but very confident. So I thought it was hilarious. And now hopefully I'm a better writer. My comedy's better, but I have crippling self-doubt because I'm older. So you kind of need...
You think about things a bit more.
Totally!
Yeah, probably overanalyze things.
I wish I had a bit of my 18-year-old cockiness, but not, being...
Yeah.
But
it's a balance because what did you know when you were 18?
Exactly. I thought it was hilarious. Just like bad impressions of celebrities and stuff. It was bad.
But it's like you've got to like make notes and like keep working at it. You just not stop, don't stop, just keep going.
Keep going.
Like it's like when you do anything, if you start a band, you're not going to be brilliant when you start. You just gotta get better. Like you'll get some criticism, you'll get some knockbacks, and you'll have some bad shows, but just learn from it.
Yeah.
Like I think some people take rejection really bad. When I always associate that with like what we were talking about before about if they were sort of protected too much when they were younger from things like that, so that when they get older, they don't know how to handle it. Because like if someone like you get people who like overprotect their kids from things, like they don't let them go out too much and they don't let them do this and they don't let them do that, but they don't let them experience things. So when they get older, they don't do very well. They don't do very well because they've not. You need the earlier you get those kind of experiences, the better. Yeah. I think.
Rejection, it's something that's going to happen to everyone at some point, and how you handle it kind of shows.
Better get used to it. Better getting used to it when you're younger than just it suddenly happened to you when you're older and you're like, oh, you don't know how to cope. It's like life skills.
Big time.
So that's cool. I didn't know about the stand-up.
Yeah.
Have you got any gigs coming up around here?
No.
You stay away from where people know you.
After Windermere. Well, yeah, and just gotta be careful as well with radio. That's what I do first and foremost.
That's true. That's very true.
And if a little risky jokes or if it's a little naughty. So I think Windermere, that was interesting.
So what
I would definitely gig here. I've done Carlisle. I'd gig again here in Cumbria, but yeah, it's a little different.
I went to a comedy night at the venue. Have you ever
done
I
did that one? Yeah, I've done that one. Yeah.
I went when
who was headlining?
Dickie Dippinson.
Oh my god.
He actually wasn't headlining. Oh yeah.
I know him well.
He wasn't headlining, and there was some guy, some weird foreign name. He was a foreign guy who like dressed up and he used lots of like props and stuff. And we thought he had a quite high profile, so we went there. And the two guys before them were quite funny. One that started off funny, got funnier and funnier. Then Dickie Dippinson did his thing, and he was funny. Then this other guy who was headlining. Something like Carlos, some weird, like Spanish name. And he came on and he had all these props and he got two people out of the audience and he had them putting stupid things on and dancing around. Never told a single joke. Never told one joke. It was all about, but it wasn't that funny. We were all like, where's the jokes? Where's the actual comedy? And then it just said, good night. And we were like, okay.
Yeah, but comedy's very objective. Some people would have loved that.
Well, nobody in that audience did. Two people left.
Really?
Yeah. Because obviously they knew there was nobody else after him, and they thought, well, if this is his act, let's go.
I like character comedy. I don't do it, but I like it.
Yeah,
and I like
some prop comedy as well.
That sounded quite experimental. Maybe that was just a little out there.
So what sort of stuff? How do you describe your material?
My shtick, I do like observational comedy, wee stories. Yeah. I'll talk about like alcohol and religion and
stuff like from your own experience and that as well.
Yeah. I do bits, like rude, naughty, some blue stuff, sex stuff, and then I'll do I do stuff from feminism.
Of course, you've got to.
Yeah. So a bit of all that, but mainly silly. I do silly jokes.
I was talking to a friend who I'd like to have on the podcast, but he's too shy.
Oh no.
we have conversations like me and you have. We just talk about all, and it just flies by. You know, I think I'd love to have him on the podcast, but he's just not that kind of. We won't do it. But we were talking about feminism, about really feminism's kind of changed into something different to when it first started.
Yeah.
Really, what it's about is equalism, if that's a word, rather than feminism. Because feminism now, the way they make it is like they want women to be the dominant force, or they want them to have all the things that men have had all the years. But really, we should be campaigning for us all to be the same.
Equal.
Yeah.
Humanism.
It's kind of, I don't know, some feminists are a bit too aggressive on that side of things.
Well, I think some people think feminism means that you don't like men.
Yeah, well, that as well.
I love men, like, too much.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's yeah. I think you know what you mean. Like, kind of some new wave feminists, or maybe
they've misconstrued the meaning of it, where they've altered the other people's perception of what feminism is, right, rather than you are you are campaigning for women to be as equal as men in most things, or everything.
Yeah,
but
like
a lot of them get on the women bandwagon where they're all about, they want women to be like better, and have more options.
No, I'm an old school feminist. I'm like a Germaine Greer feminist.
Okay,
so I think equal pay for equal work. But similarly, I recognise that there's differences between men and women, and that should be celebrated. That's a good thing.
Yeah, like in sport, like trying to make in MMA, you just would not put a man with a woman.
That would be insane.
Built differently.
Yes.
So why, some people disagree with that. Say no, they should be equal. Like, off you go then. Go on.
Yeah,
you try
I'm
it.
okay. I don't want to fight a man, please. It's insane. That's bonkers. Because like
also
I said,
the job thing about there's not enough women do it. It's the same with black people as well. It's like when they had the black people had their strike at the Oscars because there wasn't enough black people nominated and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But surely it's just because there aren't as many black people going for the same roles as white people. Same with women, like in construction. There aren't as many women who actually want to do that, therefore there aren't as many women in it. It's not as if men are purposely making sure.
I think, and what that Oscars highlighted was that people need to make the roles and like write the stories of black people. You know, like a lot that Oscars, a lot of the stories were about white men. It was the Leonardo DiCaprio Revenant year, wasn't it? Yeah. And you're right. And same with not enough great roles for women. So let's write them. That's what I say.
I just don't want to get in a position where, like in companies, if they had to hire people because they're a certain colour or because they're male or female to fit the numbers, rather than just let's go for who's best for the job.
Yeah, that's positive discrimination.
Let's get we need a black guy, so let's get a black guy in. Even if we interviewed 4 people and he wasn't the best job for the guy, but we need a black guy, so let's hire him.
I'm with you on that in the sense that I would hate to get a radio show because I'm a woman. I want it because I'm the best presenter that there is.
Exactly. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just think people kind of lost what the argument is about that. About like. I'm not like there aren't less black people. It's just there's less black people going for that part, so there's obviously going to be less black people in it. Do you know what I mean?
There was a lot of like biopics that year, and they were about white people. So like that's the thing. It was the Revenant and the Dallas Buyers Club and things. So but so we need to tell more black people's stories.
Exactly, and that's kind of what came from that. And I think that's what can be done.
And there's hardly any female directors, right? Let's do it. You want to do it? Be a director. Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases that's because there's less women who want to do whatever it is you're talking about. That's why there's less women.
Well, that's interesting. Like I don't want to be a footballer.
Yeah,
that's because I'm really bad at it.
How many female plumbers are they?
I don't know. I suspect maybe not as many as
some.
men. There'll be some.
Yeah.
There will be some.
You get some people go, I think we should have as many female plumbers as men.
But if they don't want to do it, you got to force women to do it.
That's my point. They want this. They want things to be too equal.
That's a little absurd. But I think it's things like in the teaching profession, it's predominantly female.
Yeah.
But it's good to have male teachers so that there's role models.
A bit of balance as well.
That's the thing. So it's more like in the teaching profession, I think it is important that there is a good mix because kids need to see female and male teachers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't care. Do what you like. I don't care. Like that bores me. I don't. Yeah, it's just do what you like. Do what job you want.
Well, with social media, it's just become so. There's so many opinions out there, and there's so many. You don't know what to believe, and you don't know. It's just like so many contradicting things.
I think it's hard for people to form their own opinions because they're bombarded by stuff online.
A lot of people just take other people's opinions and recycle them for their own, rather than I think like with the American the the voting and stuff like that, I don't know, just there seemed to be a lot more people. Did they say that there was more people voted in that election than previous ones?
I think there was quite a high voter turnout.
Is that why he won?
Remember, I have no idea.
Because he seemed to cater for a certain section of people who wouldn't normally have voted, but came out to vote for him.
And similarly with our general election, the more younger people voted than ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
why do you think that was?
It was Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he managed to appeal. He did something which he appealed to a lot of younger voters who hadn't voted previously.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good thing.
So that's, like I said, it's kind of new. Like right now, the politics is so new. It's kind of what's going on right now politically is unprecedented. It's totally new politics.
Yeah. Have you heard of a guy called Jonathan Pye?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you follow him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's an interesting character.
Put his name in the show notes, Jonathan Pye. I suggest people check him out because I'm not a huge politics guy, but I've started listening to him, and he kind of like he's always got a point to make, but he's quite objective. Like he just tells things as he sees it, and obviously he's in the know. I don't know. What do you think about? What do you think about?
I
him?
like him. Obviously, I'm BBC, so I'm unbiased and have no political opinion. But Jonathan Pye, he's an interesting character. He is very funny. It's a genius idea. So he's a reporter who's a disgruntled reporter.
I think he explains things like the way he explains some things. Like, he has good metaphors for how you explain things. That helps me understand some things.
And he deconstructs what's going on on the political.
Especially some of this is hilarious. Some of the stuff when the election was going on.
Yeah, but I think the concept's excellent. Yeah.
He's been on tour and it's sold out.
Yeah,
he's playing Selfcensoring next year.
I wonder how he does it. Like, so he does the reporter
thing on stage
and then takes the earpiece out.
Because for people who don't know, what he does is he pretends he's like the reporter out in like outside of Buckingham Palace or houses, whatever, and then they go to him. And he finishes a link, and then he talks to his producer through his earpiece. Yeah. But then when he's finished talking to the camera, he talks to his producer.
You get to hear what he really thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really smart idea.
It's funny, but it's sold out all of his dates. I was like, that's a sort of a new media thing. He wouldn't have existed 10 years ago.
No, definitely not. And there's other ways for people to get engaged in politics, which I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. Yeah, no, it is. But then
just
people
more opinions, isn't it?
Start fighting. Fighting online. That life's too short to be that trolls online. Life is too short to be angry all the time.
Yeah, and you get lots of people forcing their opinion.
Yes.
On people.
So angry.
It's like, why do you have to just have your opinion and say it? You don't have to force it on people.
And here's a bombshell. You can be friends with someone who doesn't share the same opinion as you. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Opposition.
That's okay, because you're grown adults. I got friends from all over the political spectrum, and I love that. How boring it would be.
It's like having two friends who like Rolling Stones and one likes the Beatles.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And how boring life would be if we all thought the same.
I know. Do you prefer the Rolling Stones or the Beatles?
Stones.
Same here.
Yeah, you're okay.
I've never been a Beatles
we can
fan.
be friends.
I don't mind the Beatles.
I mean,
got some good songs.
I like them. I like them both.
Yeah.
But if you made me pick, I'd go Stones.
If I lived back then, I'd definitely be a Stones person.
Yeah, they're more my style.
They're a bit more. The Beatles were a bit too, especially in the beginning, too clean cut and nice and.
Yeah, I like Sgt. Pepper Beatles though.
Yeah.
Well, I like
when the drugs came in a bit later.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
I like John Lennon and Yoko Ono in a bed. I like Give Peace a Chance. Crazy. Yeah, I like that. The hippies.
What was the first album you ever bought?
Oof, big question. First album, it was probably really
like
cringy.
With your own money, not that somebody else bought.
I can remember the single.
Go on then.
It's so bad.
I'm hoping it was.
And I thought it was cool. This is gonna all my street cred. It was Celine Dion. Celine Dion, because I think it's called "Because You Loved Me." It's dreadful song.
What about album?
Album? I just can't remember. It will have been something like "With My Own Money." Probably Backstreet Boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Classic.
Boy band.
Yeah, but you were just at the right age for all that, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was probably something like that. That's terrible, isn't it?
First album I bought was a good one. It was Nevermind.
That is so cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. First single I bought, I think, was like Oasis or something. One of the Oasis singles.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but.
Nevermind. That's a cool first album. And how proud did you feel buying it? I remember going to the shop and seeing it in the album charts.
I just remember hearing that song on the radio a lot. My dad going, turn that shit off.
No way!
Because I don't know, I used to listen to anything. I didn't really have a particular taste in music when I was about 10 to 12. And then all my friends started, then Nirvana came along. They all started buying Kerrang! And getting all them albums, and that kind of influenced me then. I don't know, what was your first sort of influences?
That's because I say Nirvana were probably a game changer for a lot of people, and obviously I fell in love with Kurt Cobain.
They were my sort of gateway. Them and Ugly Kid Joe.
Oh, yeah.
My two bands that gateway into heavier music,
Nice.
rather than just, I didn't have, if you said, what do you like, what's your favourite genre of music, I wouldn't have had one until then.
Kurt Cobain, obviously fell in love with him.
Yeah, I was well, not fell in love with him, but I'm left-handed as well, and I had the same hair as him as well.
There you go. There you go. It's probably the Smiths.
Okay.
I like Placebo.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was amazing. He awoke something in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smiths, and I kind of got into, like, I guess, like, hip-hop. I'm one of those, I mean, I love, Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
So that, when I kind of got into that was a bit of a changer for me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of love the sort of pop punk. Do you remember when Sum 41 and Lit
Good Charlotte
and all that stuff? Like, I was big into that. Yeah, when that all came out. It was all like the kind of American gross out films, like American Pie, and they had great
all
soundtracks.
Their soundtracks were brilliant.
Yeah, so I liked a lot of that when I was wee.
I used to love Sum 41.
Sum 41 and Wheatus.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. But now... Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? What music shapes you, and memories of, like, that's a big specific time in my life I liked.
Well, yeah, certain eras of music and few bands like remind you of certain times in your life, don't they? I like Papa Roach.
Papa Roach.
God, I like
Limp
Bizkit. Metal stuff, Limp Bizkit, Korn.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That was good. That was the last. New metal was probably the last like major new genre. There hasn't really been any since then. Early 2000s.
New genre. That's interesting, isn't it?
Like there was like obviously glam in the 70s, then you had thrash in the early 80s, well, punk as well, and then grunge in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Then new metal.
I mean,
in the early 2000s.
Music's always evolving, but yeah, like when are we going to get a
be another one.
There was like gent, I think, in like the 2010s or something.
Yeah, all that progressive.
It was like, you know, moving on to 7 and 8 string stuff, just very sort of chuggy and technical type stuff.
That's not mainstream though, is it? That's not. You don't get that in.
Oh right,
like
I guess.
Papa Roach and all them were like in the charts, in the mainstream charts, weren't they?
Were they?
Yeah, yeah, they were.
But
definitely Sum 41 and all that. I remember that being on Top of the Pops and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wheatus on Top of the Pops.
That
was that one when we talked to Matt Adamson. He was the singer from Hellion Rising. He told us about that video, which is in the show notes if you go back and listen to it. Where Wheatus were on Top of the Pops, and they, like, do you remember when Nirvana went on, took the piss? And they weren't. You could tell they weren't. They were just miming. He's saying, going, entertainers.
Yeah.
Well, Wheatus were on, and they were just the drummer. Put his sticks down. He had a huge dildo in his hand. The camera, you can see the camera closing up on him before they realise what it is. Quick,
I love it. I love it. I like those rock and roll moments. Like, I do wonder if there's any rock stars left.
Well, there's no real, like, Top of the Pops is gone, so there's no real, there's no mainstream sort of. Oh, I suppose you get some of the American chat shows.
They're bringing a new one back, not Top of the Pops, but they're doing a music show soon.
Are they?
On the Beeb, yeah.
Cool.
Like Friday nights. But I mean, no, it's in rock stars. Like, who is an actual authentic rock star? I mean, I like Get Well Soon. I like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, that's true, but that's just because the landscape's changed because the money's not there to be a rock star anymore. Like, everyone's on a budget.
Totally.
Like, there's no money for drugs.
No. Yeah, they all drink green tea now.
They all look after themselves.
And like, no one throws TVs out of hotel rooms anymore. They're all really good. Yeah, they're all really healthy.
Yeah,
I hate that.
It's just totally different.
We're the badass rock stars.
Because you just can't afford to be. I mean, there's on stage, performance-wise, there are like you get bands that still do that sort of like amaze people and just like what you should which is what you should do. Like, you should be like someone from another planet. Like, people in the audience have never seen that. Like, versus when you go off stage and you're completely normal.
I like that. Yeah.
That still happens, but in the media, and like, that lifestyle's just gone.
Yeah.
Because, well, like we spoke before on here, like, because the money's not there because no one's buying albums anymore.
Kanye was pretty cool when I saw him. He came out in a diamond-encrusted mask, and he didn't take it off for like the first 4 songs.
I suppose
it was awesome.
You know, the hip-hop and all that stuff and the rap music, there's still some pretty big stars there.
But in terms of being cool, like, David Bowie was just cool.
It's true. There hasn't really been.
Who's as cool as that? And who would you say is changing the game now, music-wise? Like, what was the last thing you heard and you're like, I've never heard anything like this?
Probably the Marmosettes.
Okay.
That's probably one of my favourite bands that if you'd asked me 5 years ago, before they were big, they wouldn't be a band that I thought I would like. But when their first album came out, I remember seeing them years ago in Workington.
Oh, no way!
Probably about, I can't remember how long ago it was. I keep needing to look it up.
That's awesome.
When they were just another band, and they weren't even headlining then.
Yeah.
And then to see them now, like, Reading and Leeds and all that sort of stuff. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah. And they get a lot of radio play.
Yeah, new songs just come out. But yeah, like you say, there's not a plethora of these big game changers now, is there?
The last song I heard on the radio, I was like, oh wow, who's this? Christina and the Queens. I thought she's kind of cool, French.
Okay.
She's very like androgynous, like just a different sound. I just like something that's new.
Where do you get your new music from?
I do listen across a lot of stations. I like Six Music's good, and Radio 1 does some good stuff that they're introducing, and we do that. BBC Introducing, it's excellent.
It's good.
Local music, which is awesome.
Yeah, because you guys have a lot of local artists.
Yeah, we have a show dedicated to it, which is so important because Cumbria is super talented. You've got loads of great artists here.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, trying to keep an ear out. It's kind of like a foreign stuff, and I'm kind of weirdly got into jazz.
Okay.
And that's totally new for me. And like country music, I've been listening to a lot of like old school country.
Yeah.
And like Muddy Waters and stuff, and I'm loving it. So yeah, it's kind of good to discover new genres.
Yeah, because like Spotify has kind of changed it for me because I use their recommended. They're give you recommendations based on what you listen to regularly, which is quite cool. So half of it's like stuff that you've forgotten about from years ago, but the other half is like new stuff that you weren't aware of. And I do that a lot. I think that's quite cool. That's a good thing about modern media and the side of the music, because it's like you got these bands and you just like you wouldn't. There's no way you would have heard about them because obviously they're not in the mainstream. So back in the day, all you had was mainstream, like Top of the Pops, and the radio was your only way to hear new music, wasn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a very small funnel of what's actually going on out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the same with the news, I suppose. Before the internet, you only had like BBC and like the radio, and you had to whatever they were telling you about. That's all you knew about.
That's it.
You
That's
didn't have
all
a clue
we know.
what else was going on in the world. You had no idea.
Now though, you can go anywhere.
Exactly.
All sorts of opinions. Get your news however you want it.
You can get too many opinions. There's just so much. It's music as well. There's just so much out there, which is why I think it's hard for bands these days to get noticed, because you're just another band.
Yeah, it's so competitive.
Whereas 25 years ago, it was like a rare career choice to be a musician, and there wasn't as many. I could be wrong, but I don't think there was as many bands because it wasn't as easy to do it. Now you can make music in your bedroom, and a lot more people can do it. Obviously, there's no money in it, but it's a lot easier to do. So I think, and with the internet, you're just competing with how many bands in the world. So to stand out, you've got to think outside the box. You've obviously got to be good, but you've got to do something a bit different.
You sure do.
Which was my initial thing for starting the podcast, because it was initially a thing for the band. But then I just thought, it's got legs. It could just keep going. Do you know what I mean? Even if the band doesn't. Yeah. So that's why, and I've always loved podcasts. So it kind of ties into that. But so what other podcasts do you listen to?
There's some great ones. I like The Guilty Feminist.
I've heard of that. I don't think I've listened to it.
That's very funny. Lots of funny.
Who hosts that?
Funny chicks. It changes.
Okay.
It used to be a girl, Sophie Hagen. She's
Where's
funny.
it based? Is it a British one or is it?
It is British, yeah.
Okay.
And they just got like funny chicks to talk about why they're bad feminists. It's really great. Like, so I mean, I'm a bad feminist because I love Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke. I think it's an awesome song.
Okay, right, yeah.
But yeah, it's very funny. I like The Moth, which is like stories.
Okay.
My sister introduced me to that one. It's people telling sort of stories or doing poetry.
Okay.
It's excellent. Joe Rogan, like yourself. I know you love him.
Yep.
I like
Joe Rogan. Those are long conversations.
They are long.
Sometimes they're like over 3 hours.
And they're often enhanced with artificial. That's
They make for good conversations, though.
Absolutely, they're really fun. So yeah, it's been really fun to do this. It's kind of a little surreal, even though I do this for a living, talking. But it's
a different kind of conversation, though, isn't it? It's more open, a bit more.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries. There's no limitations.
No, it's cool. It's very sort of.
Some of them, though, I hate the podcasts where they have adverts in the middle of the show. That actually, they're getting better. But there was one, have you heard of Adam Carolla?
Yeah.
His podcast. He doesn't do it now, but he still reads out podcast like the chop it in the middle of the episode. But he used to read the adverts out Like once he was talking to Arnie. He had Arnie on his show.
What?
And Arnie was answering some sort of question. He said, "I just want to stop you there, Arnie, while I tell you about True Car."
No.
We do the advert, and Arnie has to wait. I'm like, what?
You don't make Arnie wait.
No,
Are
you
you
don't.
crazy? Yeah,
But-
I'll tell you who's great. Bill Burr. Bill Burr's
Yes,
Monday morning
yeah.
podcast.
He just
I love
rants,
him.
doesn't he?
He's wonderful. I think he's a wonderful person.
That is a skill to just be able to he doesn't even, he just picks a topic or whatever's bothering him and he just goes. And he
He's
gets millions of
hilariously
downloads.
angry. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bill Burr. I think he's a wonderful comedian.
Have you heard Dan Carling, Hardcore History?
No.
He does one about every 6 months, and they're about 5 to 6 hours long,
Awesome.
where he picks a different section of history. Like, he spends 6 months researching it, and then he does it, and it's the most downloaded podcast ever.
That's amazing.
Because there was an argument about, is there too long? And everyone said, yeah, the ideal podcast is half an hour. I don't know where they got that from, but it's like, well, his is the most downloaded, and it's like 5 to 6 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to write that one down for me. I'll check it out.
I'll send you some links to
Nice
some
one.
ones. You do the same.
Yeah,
Similar
will
to yours,
do.
yeah.
Will do, absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us. It's been really cool.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
I would love that.
Next time when you're on, Radio 1.
Ah, bless you. Bless you. I'm probably too old for them now. Yeah, but thank you very much.
But good luck in whatever you do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and if you want to get into radio, do radio because it's the best job in the world.
Okay, thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.